No, we literally just go. How's it going, Ben?
It's going alright. Are we off?
If we're off.
We're off. We're
Yeah,
off. Okay.
We're good to go.
What's up? I don't know what's going on. I don't know the format, so
Literally, we just talk
we just talk.
about whatever.
I thought you'd do like some like hello and welcome to
No,
T.W.T.
No. I don't know. It just sounds a bit forced, doesn't it? It does sound a bit cheesy for me.
All right.
It's all just talking about you, Ben, and what
It's
you
talking
do.
about me. It's like a public counselling session.
Can be if you want. Get some therapy. Go for trauma.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know where to start.
How did you find Monday?
How did I find Monday? What the whole shebang? It was good. I preferred it to last year's. No offense to the organisers of last year's thing, but there were a few issues that people remember quite well. Well, it was, first of all, it was in a vegan cafe, so all the food was vegan, and there were like 3 vegans there, and everybody else, like 100 odd people, were not vegan. So a lot of the food was unrecognisable to most people. The one thing I remember, there was just like these like cuboids of stuff. I don't know what it was.
No, I never know. Yeah. What else?
Oh yeah, there was a band and they were good, but it was a very echoey, tightly packed space. Were you there last year?
I was one of the organisers.
Yeah, there was a tightly packed space and they were really good, but it was just like really loud. And it was just kind of like, ouch, But other than that, it was the first kind of ball I'd been to, and I did enjoy it as a whole. Joseph won a lot. He won 3 blimmin' awards.
Was it free? Because you got something for Expression and X Media.
I think he must have got 2 from one and obviously 1 from the other. Because I remember what I said to him after the winter soiree this year. I said to him, tough luck, mate. You only won 2 awards this time. Because he had 3 the year before, which I found quite amusing.
And he picked up this one.
He's leveled it again. He's got
2.
He's got 2. Hopefully he keeps that up. I mean, he's a busy man. He's got stuff coming up.
It's BBC hopefully on Saturday, isn't it? He said.
Well, I don't know if that's a secret. We'll have to.
I mean, no one's going to listen to this. Let's be honest.
Who knows? We'll never know. This could pop off. We could be hitting it off.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
No, you never know. Sometimes random stuff does pop off. That's how.
I don't do it for that sort of thing. I
just do it for the bants.
Yeah, just to try it really, because I've never really done a podcast, and I've always, there's some personal stuff to it. Like I wanted to improve my speaking sort of thing.
Yeah.
My confidence of hearing my own voice, because you sort of, I don't know about you, but when you start hearing it for the first time sort of thing, it's like, you cringe quite a bit, and then eventually you just get used to it.
Exactly.
So I can't really change my voice.
It's a bit like archival footage also as well. So when you're like 70 odd, you go, I remember that James Allen or whatever,
Back in my day.
Yeah, you know how to organise a social.
Yeah, he was good.
So, it was I think it's a really good idea. Every time someone has a chat with you, they always mention the show they did with you and the good laughs they had. So I regret not coming on sooner, to be honest.
I mean, that's my own fault for not inviting you sooner.
No, it is.
We're here now.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not
enjoy
dwell. Let's enjoy the present, as so to speak. Honestly, this is so weird. Normally I'm really chatty, and now I'm like going into brain meltdown.
Are you just nervous?
I'm like, no, I don't know. I think it's just like, one of those things where it's just like, okay, you got to talk about stuff for 2 hours, and then like my brain's just kind of gone into shutdown mode.
Well, to be honest, we will just keep talking.
Exactly.
Like we had it. I think it was Ella's podcast I was saying to you. It was like 3 hours long. We just talked about random shit like family, running, life in general, sort of thing, university.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just mixes up really. You said you're going to Northern Ireland soon, right?
I'm going to Northern Ireland. I can, sort of. I'm going to Northern Ireland with a local reserve unit. Not looking forward to that, to be honest. No offence to anyone who might be listening at the unit. Not their fault.
Make sure you just talk down the barrel.
Oh, sorry.
If you need to move the mic, mate, go for it.
I will. No, don't worry. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been in a proper studio. Oh yeah, I got a show tomorrow. Oh crap. I got to do it. Sorry. I'm going to Northern Ireland onto a camp where there is no connection at all. I'm not going to say any more than that actually, because security is apparently quite tough because it's Northern Ireland and it's British people, and although it's finished, there are still some people that rightfully have issues. I don't even know what we're going to be doing too much of, to be honest. But, it pays the bills. Get to be with some good people. So hopefully that'll be quite good for it. What is more interesting, and I should know more details about, is I'm studying abroad next year in the US.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which will be all right, I suppose. I mean, it's one of those things where I keep bouncing around whether I'm excited for it or I'm dreading it, because it's basically being a fresher all over again.
What part of you dreading it?
So many uncertainties. I have no idea what kind of accommodation I'm gonna get. I don't even know if I could be sharing a room with someone. Like that's the reality of the situation that we're in. I don't know what the food's gonna be like because it's America. The campus is in the middle of nowhere, and I mean that. Everyone goes, "Oh, where are you going?" I'm like, "You won't know this location, but it's there." What else? And it's the same thing with being a fresher anywhere, I suppose. What if you don't make friends? Ooh, exactly. Everyone says that, and also they say you're British, so that will help. And literally everyone said that. Even my dad says that, and normally he's like bringing me down a peg, like, oh, don't get ahead of yourself. But this time he's like, nah, this is gonna work wonders for you, because he did the same thing. He went to the States. He went to blimmin' Georgetown though, which is an actual, quality university. JFK went there, for example.
Oh, wow.
It's like a serious one. It looks like blimmin' Hogwarts. It's a proper gaff. And he said that his accent did him some favors there. Wait and see. And for people who don't know, I'm a politics student, so it'll be pretty interesting because there's obviously the election there while I'm there. I always say to people, the most apolitical answer I can give is, regardless of who wins, is going to kick off. That's my prediction.
That's just because of how it is in the US? Or?
Yeah, it's a very polarized one at the moment. I think it's more about the supporters. I think supporters will be outraged regardless of who wins. In completely different respects. We saw what happened after 2020. With the Congress getting raided and all that stuff. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm excited to be there. I'm excited to see the process. Because people I'll be in classes with will be eligible to vote, and they will likely, be outspoken about the vote. I'll be encouraging them to vote because, and you as well, listening, vote. July 4th, do it, please.
Do it.
Especially if you're a young person, do it.
Who are you voting for? Or have you not decided?
I've not decided. It's a tricky one because I live in Brighton and I am in the Brighton Pavilion seat, which is currently green. The only green seat in the UK at the moment. Probably won't be the only one according to polls next time. There's some other seats that might go green this time round. But it's a tricky one because the Green MP, loads of people, including normally traditional Labour people, vote for her because she's been top quality to the local constituency and she's a very good voice in Parliament. But she's stepping down. So some random new Green is going to turn up. But I think she's quite good. She's called Sian Berry. She's run for London Mayor quite a few times and been quite successful. Obviously hasn't won, but her policies have changed. They've changed. Basically, Labour have stolen quite a few of her policies, which is, in my opinion, quite effective from a party that doesn't win anything. But on the other hand, the other Labour candidate he's top quality. He's a good bloke as well. And I went clubbing with him once, which was hilarious.
What, intentionally, or did you bump into him?
It was a bit. It's kind of both. So this is why I'm split as well, because my closest friend, he is an ardent young Labour member. He gets involved. He's now had pictures with Keir Starmer, and he's gone to his speeches and stuff. He went to he knew which pub he was going to in Brighton, so he went in there and had a drink with him and all that. He told me apparently he got a Harvey's, which is a local beer, which he clearly did his research on that one. He didn't get a Stella or anything. He went for the local option, so ticking the box there. But so it's quite difficult because obviously I always like the idea of there being a nice little green splodge on the map saying, look at us, that's our little funny little constituency with our weird kinks that our city has. But at the same time, the Labour bloke, he's top quality. He won the Mercury Prize, which is like a British Emmy, pretty much. Like, it's quite a big deal.
That's pretty quite
Yeah,
clean, isn't it?
yeah. He was a really good musician from a band called Gomez. He is from the north. That's the thing. Like, there's a lot of people say, "Oh, but this Green, she's not from Brighton." I'm like, well, he's got a northern accent. You know, like he's clearly from outside of town as well. It's a difficult decision, but yeah. And I did go clubbing with him, and you don't know how much of a good like icebreaker that is to say, you know, my MP, I went clubbing with him. Like, I didn't realize who he was, so like went to this event. It was celebrating a year of Brighton Hove Young Labour, and there were quite a few obviously Labour types knocking around. And they hadn't announced who their candidate was going to be to take over to be the Labour candidate for that seat. And it was what was it? It was a tie up between this woman who was up for chair of the council and this musician. And when I met him, he was really quite coy. You know, he was kind of going around saying, "Oh, I probably won't get it," you know, especially up against her and all that, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of thought, oh, okay, so this is a guy who's just shooting his shot, trying to make connections and all that. But, you know, best of luck to him, you know, all that. And then we left, you know, that is what I just kind of thought, oh, he's a bloke who's going for it, you know, fair enough. And then, you know, someone told me, oh yeah, he produces music or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, so it's probably like, you know, works for a label or whatever, maybe has a studio or something like that. And then we go clubbing with him, and you know, I'm like, oh, this guy, he seems to know what's up, you know, he's pretty cool, you know, he knows what's going on. It was a really good club as well, free entry and that, cheap drinks, you know, and it was like top quality. What's it called? Dead Wax. Dead Wax, yeah.
That's the name of the club.
I've dropped it. Dead Wax. Dead Wax in Brighton. I think it's on Bond Street. Check it out, in the lanes. Top quality. They advertise outside. It says beer vinyl pizza, which, you know, if that's what you go for, then go for it. And then I left, and that was kind of it. Shook his hand with everyone else. It was quite awkward as well, because I was saying, oh, so you're Labour, and I'm like, you know, like I'm not. I don't like being partisan. You know, I'll support them all the way, and I did support them. You know, I donated stuff and all that, but you know, I'm not a partisan. But yeah, and I said, oh, my dad was asking me, oh, what did you do last night and all that, and I said, yeah, I went clubbing with this bloke. He was like, I think his name was Tom or something. I was like, oh yeah, he's in a band that I saw when I went to America. Oh, okay. And then a few months later, I looked him up, and I was like, oh, he won the Mercury Prize. Oh, and now he's the candidate for for being MP.
That's a cool turnaround in a career way, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, you should have seen who he had to beat. So, like, there was somebody else who was kicked out of the race quite early on. Eddie Izzard. Eddie Izzard went for Labour candidate for my constituency. You know, like, the actor and comedian, Eddie Izzard.
I don't know who that is.
You know, I'm trying to... Oh, it's quite difficult. Eddie Izzard... She is a trans activist now, but she does comedy. She's a runner. I'll show you an image later if you want.
Show me now if you want.
I'll show you now, but I don't want to disrupt the flow of this show. But yeah, I wanted her to win personally, because it would have been jokes. Because, you know, I think that'd be the only way to be competitive with the Greens would be to obviously have quite a big actor involved. That's her before transitioning,
right,
when she was most famous. And then let me find one that looks a bit more, but she was in like Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13, which is one of my favourite films. That's her now. But yeah,
I think I've seen her.
Yeah, and she lost because she just wasn't in Brighton at all. She's in America doing this and all that and all over the place. So, you know, she didn't win. Sorry, I realise I'm talking about local politics. It's not very exciting. I'm kind of like knocked people out straight away.
Well, I asked you about your politics and stuff and who you're going to vote for, so, you know, you can...
So, yeah, long story short, I'm drawn between Green and Labour at the moment because they're the only two that have a realistic prospect of winning. I have very unsurprising political beliefs for the area that I'm from, which is Brighton, which is a traditionally very left-wing place. But at the same time, I'm not the kind of person to shout people down about their political beliefs, unless it's hateful. If it's hateful, then I will, you know, I'm going in head first. But, you know, if you're saying, oh, I'm a Lib Dem, you know, I don't care.
Yeah, that I think that's a good thing, because I know some people are so drawn to one side that they don't.
Yeah.
They look beyond someone's personality to look at their political beliefs and think, okay, you're just a bad person automatically because you vote for that sort of thing. I've got friends that vote either way.
That's why I'm not a partisan, because I find out when I'm part of any kind of team or group or something, I'm die hard for it. And if I join a party, that will happen as well. And, in which case then I'll become quite hostile. Like, ooh, well, that person's a Tory. Ooh, at the end of the day, I don't care. I mean...
It doesn't matter.
If you're the kind of person that brings it up all the time, but that's the same with any political party.
It could be anything in general. It doesn't have to be just politics, though. If you bring up the same thing over and over again, you become quite a bit of a boring.
No, but what I mean, is... this is why, just randomly said, oh, this is why this is like this, or that, whatever. Just, constantly going in on a certain political topic when I'm just trying to, I don't know, eat an ice cream or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Go to the beach.
There's a time and a place, and, as someone who does as a politics student, I hear it all the time. I mean, I'll happily speak about it with anyone. The most interesting conversations I have are with people who are willing to have a conversation about, why they don't do they would say, I don't do politics, I'm non-political. But that is political, and I find that those are the most interesting people to talk to, I think.
Because is that your question? For me, I'm pretty sure you asked if I'm political, and I gave you an apolitical answer.
Yeah,
at one point.
But that is politics,
and that is political in a sense.
It's arguably the most out of anything. I don't want to bring up my course and sound like some Eton-educated person, which I am not. State school all the way, baby.
Whoa, let's go.
But Aristotle said that everything is political, and arguably that is true. I mean, obviously, if you want to talk about the politics of, I don't know, door hinges, obviously you're going to have to go quite a way to relate that to politics, but you can make it political if you want to.
You can talk about how it was made. And
yeah, exactly, like the metal that it's made out of and where it was sourced, and then,
there you go.
how that, whatever. But and that includes non-political action as well. I understand why people don't want to vote. No, it makes sense. But at the same time, you can still vote and not vote at the same time. It's quite clever.
Yeah.
It's called spoiling your ballot. And if you really don't like any of them, I encourage you to do that, because your vote is still counted, but it doesn't go to anyone. That's the closest thing we have to none of the above, which some countries actually have as an option. But,
really?
Yeah, you can vote none of the above. It doesn't win, but
Which countries are they?
I can't remember. I think some African countries and some South American ones.
So do they have two dominating parties?
Most places do, just in general. Apart from some, like North Korea, but You're
telling me that's not a democratic country?
Well, it says DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, but might not be true. I don't know.
I believe that. I think that's a very democratic country. The fact that they've had,
you know how their elections work?
20, 30 years.
You know how they have elections?
Do they actually?
Yeah. You go into a building, they give you a card that says, I vote for Kim Jong-un on it, and you put it in a box. That is it. That is your vote. That's not a joke. I've seen it. They've released it saying, look at our democracy. Similar thing with China, I suppose. I mean, I think you can vote for different people, but they're all from the same party.
Right, okay.
And only at very local levels. Like, you can't vote at the top end. And I'm sure the Chinese state would take that as well. They'll be like, yes, he said that we're vaguely democratic. Yeah, no, it's sorry, I don't know where I was.
It must be quite scary to live in North Korea.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is.
But I guess you wouldn't, because the way you're educated, you wouldn't have no idea, what
I
the
think
outside world is. You sort of have a feeling that you'd have to always be pro.
I think they would have an idea about the outside world. I don't think they're that dumb. A lot of people kind of look at them like they don't really know what's happening. But you get loads of people trying to escape and sometimes successfully escaping. So clearly there is agreement among people in North Korea that they know that there is a way out of they know that there's a better world outside. It's a bit like the Berlin Wall as well. People thought on the other side, oh, they're all just communists on the other side. They don't like us and whatever. Well, they clearly do if they're risking death to escape. And it's always quite a tragic story. It's a very hard decision for anyone who does it, because I think they know full well that if they try to escape, if they do escape, then their family back home gets punished. It's either a case of denounce your child or you're screwed.
Yeah, and I think the way
And that's lucky as well if you get away with that.
Have you heard of Yonomi Park? She was a North Korea
Mm-hmm.
defector, and she released her book and story about escaping North Korea, and how if you escape, you basically your kids, if you were to have some, are then tortured as well. Or like, no, what is it? You are responsible for the sins of your grandparents, I believe, which is fucking frightening.
Yeah, it's quite disgusting when you think about it. And when you look at things like that, people look at that and they think, oh yeah, it's because their government's nasty. Well, it is because they're nasty, but the reason why they're nasty is because they're actually a bunch of wimps. They're actually terrified because all they want is power, and literally they can't they can't tolerate anything that could risk them losing power. That's why everyone has to have their faces on badges that you have to wear everywhere. They're terrified of things like that. If that doesn't happen, then they think, oh no, they're rebelling against us. No, they just want to wear something else. There's so many like things they're terrified of. Like you can't take a picture of I'm never doing this, but you can go on holiday there, right? It's ridiculous. It's obviously very staged, very strict. You can't bring certain things. You can't say certain things. You've had American tourists get killed for visits there and stuff like that for very mediocre actions. But they what they do is if you go into like a dining room, they'll show off the amount of food they have. So look at all this food that we have. Wow, we no famines here. They have loads of famines all the time because it's not
the food stays to the higher ups, doesn't it? It doesn't reach the bottom people.
Well, yeah, obviously it reaches the higher ups, but it's not very well managed. They built a massive dam, for example, that they kept on showing off to the world. Like, look at this. Only North Koreans could build a dam like this. It's the best dam ever built. And then a few years later, it flooded the entirety of like a huge area of their crop fields, and a famine came in. That's why they're quite strict on. Yeah, go to Pyongyang. Nowhere else, please, or somewhere that we very strictly checked. It's similar to what happened in China. I'm sorry, this is a weird topic. Talk about the Great Leap Forward now, which was
Mao Zedong.
Yeah, Mao. I mean, what did he do? He basically he would set ridiculous goals for like, make this much grain, please, and that literally impossible. There's no way they could have done it. But what do? Do you either say, no, we haven't done it, and then die? Because that's what would happen. You'd say no, and then they would purge you. Or do you say, yes, we have done it, and then die because you have no food? And that's what happened. That's probably what's happening in North Korea, is saying that you're hitting the quota, and then not hitting the quota.
But dying.
And then starving as a result of it.
Or being executed for that when they find out.
It's a tragic state of affairs over there, to be honest, and I really do hope that the regime collapses, because I feel like it's the biggest kind of population of people that's trapped. I feel like borderline in prison. You know, it's like 30 million or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's them and probably China's next, maybe.
Well, you can leave China.
You can,
and that's the thing. You can obviously change citizenship and everything, and they're not going to collapse. Their country's not going to collapse. They've got it. They've struck quite a good balance, because obviously you don't have many people defecting from China. I think they've done quite a good job of striking the middle ground, because I think most North Koreans have had to be involved in some facade for the outside world in numerous times. Like, clap aggressively for our dear leader. My favourite example was they took some foreign press around Pyongyang University or whatever. It's a university in Pyongyang, and they take them into the library in the computer lab, and they're saying, look, you see, they have internet, they have Western access. There you go, take a look. And all it is these people. They had keyboards and mice in front of them, but they were just sitting there, not touching anything, looking at the Google homepage. And that's it. It literally said Google and then the search bar, and they were sitting there, not clicking anything, just sitting there still, looking at a screen. Like, they were saying that, like, it was as silent as this room was now, almost, without the conversation.
Yeah.
It was just hilariously weird. And that's the one thing. It's weird, but it's tragic at the same time. I'm surprised I was not expecting to be talking about the state of North Korea.
No, neither. That's what I was saying to you earlier before we started.
Yeah.
Or when we did start, like we would talk about whatever, wouldn't we? Me and Harry Craig, I'm
Mhm.
sure you know him. We talked about. I think it was Joseph Stalin.
Oh, no, let's not go there.
I was gonna bring up Stalin when you mentioned the.
I've
Great
studied
Leap
him
Forward.
as well.
His history, his backstory is interesting.
Yeah, no. I studied him at A level with his 5-year plans, which I just remembered now, and I do not want to go back there because I used to have to remember that like a system. I know.
His war in Ukraine is basically what was the same as Zedong's, wasn't it? It was the grain and rice. No, was it grain or was it?
What do you mean? What his Great Terror? Where he did kulakization in
that's
Ukraine.
It, the kulaks. That's it.
Yeah, that was just a purge. That was just killing
Because
people.
he put people in what were they called? Like shacks and stuff.
Gulags.
Not gulags. It was when he put everyone together. What was the word I'm looking for?
Communes.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he basically ransacked all the.
Oh, it's
kulaks.
all coming back now. Yeah, he reformed the farms. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's it.
He made them one massive field rather than loads of little ones. Sometimes his ideas actually did not too bad. Most of the time, absolutely not.
What ones went right?
The industrialization ones, the ones where he made steel and stuff quite quickly. If he didn't do that, then they would have been screwed in World War II. And one thing you can say is they did quite a not too bad job in World War II in terms of equipment. In terms of their doctrine, not very good at all. It's have a lot of people, run at the enemy, go.
You can't come back.
They'll shoot you if you come back. Literally. So that was it. That's how they fight. Well, how they fought. We know how they fight now. But that's how China fought. That's how North Korea fought. Is just use crap tons of people. Doesn't matter how well trained they are. Run at them. Take it. And I don't think that's why people are like, oh, if we go to war against North Korea, we will lose. And I'm like, no, we won't. Because you look at their list of soldiers. And their list of reserves is literally the entirety of their population, because I think from the age of 18 to 70, you're in the army.
Right, so it's enforced.
Yeah, you're in, you're doing it. But I don't know how good a 70-year-old's gonna be
against. Well, I don't know how any
NATO.
of their soldiers are going to be against. Yeah, NATO.
And also, they don't have any food. Things like that. I mean, we're not going to go to war against them anyway. Countries like North Korea and China are terrified of it. That's why they're showing off their muscles so much. It's because they're so scared of it. It's a bit like a frightened animal in a corner. They're sneering, but they're not going to do anything. There's I don't tend to use Russian proverbs, but my favourite one is one that's called. They coined it China's final warning, which basically means nothing's going to happen. And I called it. Everyone, if you remember a year or two ago, there was, war in Asia is about to kick off. They're going to invade Taiwan. Then they started scrambling jets and sending boats into the China Sea and started to beef with Taiwan. And I said, watch it. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing. Guess what? Nothing happened. China hasn't been at war since the 50s. Same thing with North Korea. They don't have any soldiers that have seen conflict. And that's what's different to the West is the West have. We've been fighting
Afghanistan, Iraq.
Yeah. And combat experience is a real game changer because you know what to do. What's going to happen is if a conflict happens, you'll have a lot of people who've been there, done that, seen it all before, against a bunch of people who have never had real rounds pinging next to them. If I think you might have some soldiers who have done some special forces work, or maybe had to clear a house of some dodgy people, but never against a fair enemy. So it's a real shifter, I suppose. Anyway, it's not going to happen. I have no beef with the Chinese government in terms of at a foreign stage.
You
Everyone's
saying it because you want social credit, or
no, hell no. I'll criticise their government for what they do to their own people all day long. Disgraceful. Absolutely horrid what they do. They still use the death penalty and do it publicly. Public execution is a thing in China.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's disgraceful. But on the world stage, everyone's like, oh, I better watch out for China. What's the British government doing about China? I'm like, what do you mean? Their economy is growing. If we were in the same position to have an successful economy like that, we would take it all day long. So what they're doing is they're just exporting a lot of stuff. You know, we wish we could do that, but we can't. So congratulations to them. You know, carry on with what they're doing. But yeah, I don't want to go there. I've been to Hong Kong. It was alright. I mean, it was a bit stressful in terms of a lot of people, and also the only place in my life that I've been to where I've been like one of the tallest people around, which was very funny to me because walking down the street and I'm like above everyone. Never been like that.
Chinese people are that small.
Well, they'll say they're Hong Kong citizens. That's a tricky one. But yeah, they you know, the average height's a bit shorter over there. I found out obviously because I was like taller than most people, which was very odd. But it's very busy. Oh my god, walking down the street. People walking down the street are like a million miles an hour, pushing you out of the way, and then other people that are walking at such slow speeds, and it just
You got one of the two. You don't have anyone in the between.
no, and it's you got like if you're freaking out in town in the UK, you just look for a place to calm down. Okay, I'll go in here. Don't know what that says. Don't know what it is. Can't go in there because I won't be able to communicate with anyone. It was a tricky place, but I'm glad I've gone. Probably won't go again. I've done that quite a lot of times. I've been to Gibraltar, I've always wanted to go there. I'm glad I've gone. I'm not going to go again. It's like, it's a good place to tick off. There's places that obviously I do want to go back to, but Hong Kong's probably not one of them, especially, you've got dodgy stuff happening with their government now and monsoons. So
what's happening with their government?
It's slowly becoming in control of the Chinese government. We agreed, because it used to be UK territory, and then we agreed to give it back because of a lease bit of paper that we wrote 100 years ago saying we'll give it to you in 99 years, which they basically meant forever, but obviously China took that literally, because why wouldn't you? And then we said, we'll give it back to you, but we're going to do it in a transition. And they're currently in the transition phase now. They said, right, your country's going to be a democracy, and after 25 years, then you become Chinese territory. And China's like kind of not been following that. They've just kind of been like, oh, we'll remove your free press, and we'll remove your we'll plant people in your democracy, and we'll start banning people who say anything critical of China, and start doing all that. That's why we accept loads of Hong Kong citizens into the UK now, because we kind of feel bad because we trusted China to follow a deal which involved them waiting to accept land. That ain't happening. But yeah, sorry, I feel like too politicized.
No, man, this is all about you, and you're bringing something to the conversation. These episodes and this podcast is not about me. It's about
I know
what you guys know and what you can bring, because everyone's got something interesting to tell.
But I like to think that my non-political friends might listen. I don't want a lot of them. They kind of just, every time I talk about stuff like this, they kind of just go, I don't know what you're talking about, and then clearly get bored of it
and just turn it off.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I may as well provide something that is not that. I'd rather, I don't know, but I don't know where to go. This is my problem. I can't start. That's my problem, Tom. Crikey. What about you, Tom? What did you make of Monday?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic event to finish on for me, my last ever X Media event, last event formally with the university. I mean, I don't know, say that my graduation, but in terms of seeing all my friends, really, it was quite a beautiful evening, really.
It was a nice little venue as well.
Ali, they did a great job pointing out the location.
No,
I had no idea about the botanist, and then
I've seen it before, but I have no idea what it was.
I thought that rooftop was just perfect.
Yeah, it was really good. It was much better space than last time. And yeah, it was completely different to what Revs was like as well, but in a good way.
Yeah, because you don't want it to be a forced sit down when you want to move about. Because it gets quite hot and sweaty, doesn't it, when it's summer?
Oh yeah,
you're all quite camped and stuff.
I got quite cold at the end though. I mean, I wasn't wearing a.
You were wearing a polo shirt, weren't you?
Yeah, well, it was a woolen one, so it's warm.
Do you know someone told me they described you as a guy who was always looking angry.
What? Who said that?
I'm not going to say his name.
What?
The guy.
Who said that?
If you come out Friday and he comes out Friday, I'll point him out.
Oh, is it one of your mates?
Yeah.
Ah.
Because they described you as all right, I'll give you sort of a clue. He was at the filming.
Is it the other Ben? or the other Tom?
I can't tell you.
No, I know. I know. I know. It's one of the two blokes. It's either the shredded geezer or the guy who was with the shredded geezer, who was also in quite good shape as well. I regret that though.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. I just feel bad now. That's what people think of me. Oh, you look pissed off.
There's only one person that said it.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I don't think. Was I?
Maybe it's just a resting bitch face sort of thing.
Might be.
I have a resting bitch face, and people think I'm always stressed or pissed off.
Well, I was a bit ticked off about I couldn't get a ticket, so that might have been it. I was a bit stressed because I didn't know what was going to happen. It's been a long week leading up to it as well. A bit sad, obviously, because it's the end, and don't know how to cope with that.
Well, you got another when you come back in 2 years' time.
Yeah, but I mean, 2 years first of all. It's a long time, and a lot of people that won't see again. So
Yeah.
it's a bit difficult in that respect. So
Has it hit you yet? Or
I don't know. I probably maybe that's why I was in a, that's why I was struggling through that. I suppose. I won't go too much into it. Maybe, who knows? Maybe later we will. But it's mixed emotions. You just kind of start to realize everything's just going away. Everything's closing down, and it's.
But I think it's a beautiful thing that's happening because you appreciate it more, don't you? Really, if we did this every single week for another couple more years, we'd probably get bored of it.
What?
Going out every single week, sort of thing.
Well, I'm not bored of it yet.
How old are you again? 20.
I'm 19 still. I'm a
Fucking
wee child.
19, mate. Fucking hell! I thought you were like 20, 21.
Hey, I feel like I still look 13. Like
Jesus Christ! What the fuck?
yeah,
Okay. I guess I can see why actually because
What?
I've done all the clubs and stuff and
Oh,
going out.
okay.
Because I'm 5 years older than you, mate.
Are you?
24.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I know.
You're 24.
Holy shit! I was expecting you to be older than what you are.
Yeah, well, does that? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That is a good thing. I feel like you'd want to
I'll
be.
take that.
I feel like you want to be complimented as a guy for counting across as older because you're more mature, right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember being in secondary school and I was a bit more. I don't know. I was intended to be a bit more kind of like more mature, more long term. But like,
What do you mean by long term?
I don't know.
Do you mean
I just remember.
relationship-wise, or?
Oh yeah, I guess that respect. But
Oh, it's the Wait, were you gonna say something?
no. What were you gonna say? I feel like I'm gonna get roasted, but hit me.
No. It's like the question of who do you marry, fuck or kill sort of thing, isn't it?
Oh.
The marry is like someone that's long term potential.
Yeah, no, I don't muck about with that too. Oh yeah, that was it. I tried to understand politics in like year 10, and like no need to do that at that age. Like what, 15? There's no need, but I did anyway. My favorite stuff back then was studying history and things like that, rather than just whatever the heck, football or whatever. At that age, and I always thought I'd be better. I feel like, and I guess might be right now, better as a grown up than I am as a kid, because I don't know, I didn't like being babied, I suppose. I mean, being a kid was great, but like there's that awkward grey area in the middle that I wouldn't call the puberty years because it's not quite, but it's especially for boys, it's a case of like, the best way to figure out is clothing. That was a problem for me for a while because you're too big for the kids' clothes but too small for the adults' small size. So you're kind of, what do you wear? And it's just like an awkward middle ground. Thank goodness for school uniforms, because that was, kind of missed that, to be honest. That was a good.
What did you have? Could you stay
Oh,
at school?
yeah, no, mine was great because fun fact about me, I don't know how to tie a tie because we didn't have ties at my school. It was a white polo shirt and a black jumper and black trousers.
It's funny you say that. I'm the same. I had
We go to the same school. Who knows?
Not the same school, but
No.
I had a polo shirt and just black trousers.
Yeah, it was dope. It was great.
It was actually quite nice.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I think it was a year or 2 years after I left that they started doing the ties and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Like
that
full uniform thing. But
that's tragic.
man, actually, that's funny you mentioned that. It just brings me back a little bit to having the polo shirts and.
It was good. It was so good. It was like such a vibe. Like you just chuck it on. Like it took me like 2 minutes to get ready for school. It's just like chuck the shirt on, trousers on, gone. And the shoes, there wasn't, you didn't have to wear any like fancy shoes as long as they were all black.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
because everyone had is it Hirachis?
Oh no! Oh, I hated them so much. Oh my god, they were so bad. Like, it looks like they walked through like a scuba diving shop and attached glue to their feet and then just collected a bunch of stuff. They were just. I can't believe everyone was wearing them. I think I turned up with some like proper roadman shoes, and like I was in a shoe shop and I needed a new pair of shoes. It was like halfway through year 11. It was not for long, and I thought, screw it, I'm gonna get the most memeable shoes. And so I bought some roadman shoes, and it was like the first day, and everyone took the piss, but it was funny. I can't remember what they were. And they were like the ones that got like waves on the side, the Nike ones. They're like, I think they're Air Max somethings.
Oh god, the Air Maxes are terrible.
The ones with like the like layers.
White Air Maxes are quite nice, but black Air Maxes. Oh.
Yeah, but that's why I got them, was I wanted to take
Horrendous.
the mick, and that's exactly what happened. It was quite good towards the end as well, because I think I played my cards quite well in friendship groups at the start, because I used to live in Australia. There you go. There's another thing I'm just going to drop there. But because I used to live in Australia, I joined in the middle of year 8, and at the start it was quite hard because obviously everyone had their friendship groups from year 7 and they were sticking strong to those. And obviously you have to try and insert yourself into one of those. But I kept on bouncing around different ones for a while and kind of stuck at that. And then what eventually happened was, because at the start I got a lot of crap, especially from the football boys, because
What, bullying?
I wouldn't say bullying, but like, just a lot of taking the mick, and that just kind of happens at those kinds of schools. They do it to everyone, so it's
Well, it's the state school, isn't it? It's the all for
Yeah.
yourself.
But at the end, I was kind of well acquainted with all groups. It was great. I was friends with the library nerds. I was friends with the football lads. The only girl I wasn't in was with the cool girls, but like they were, like I don't care. Like they were the most boring people. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But
They go on to have an interesting life after uni. The cool girls, if you know what I mean, the popular girls.
do
After
they?
uni-
I mean, I hope
And
they're doing well. I mean,
yeah, I hope the people that I graduate with are doing well, but I feel like
no,
like-
these are kind of people who would aggressively refuse to do any work.
that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and I'm like,
that.
I remember watching them and like, you're being really nasty to this teacher that I like, or like, you're being quite annoying, disruptive to this lesson. But I wasn't more mad at them. I was more kind of like, I really hope that you end up all right after all this.
I think
'cause-
it's more of their parents, if anything.
well, that's what the nastiest piece of work that I knew at secondary school. He was terrible to everyone, including his friends. I don't know why they were friends with him. He was only ever nice to his girlfriend. That was hilarious to watch, because like, oh, now he's suddenly not a dickhead all of a sudden. Wow, what a surprise. But I met his mum, and she was the nicest woman. Oh my god, I don't understand where he got it from. I like, we'll have to wait and see. Well, I'll never know. But like, his mum was really nice.
What about his dad?
I never met his dad, but he definitely had one. It wasn't like a single parent type of situation, but he was just a nasty person.
That's interesting.
I'm not going to say his name.
No, don't. No, don't.
Yeah. Oi, big up. No, just drop his name. and, like,
Yeah.
I saw him recently as well. It freaked me out. God. Yeah, like a lot of people who were really nice, but like they still wouldn't, clock in for lessons properly, and would, just
Turn
more-
up late. Turn up. Just be generally an arsehole.
No, not an arsehole, but like, wouldn't, they would just kind of muck about in lesson a lot, which I understand. If it's boring, you're going to muck about, and that's fine. The kind of people that would occasionally get sent out of class or get a detention or whatever. A lot of them who, again, I was kind of a little bit worried for, because, you kind of saw when GCSEs were coming up, and, they kind of, started to seem a little bit kind of like, when I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll do well in this exam, and they'll be like, no, believe me, mate, you're fine, I don't know what I'm going to do, though. A lot of those people have become like fitness influencers, which has kind of caught me off guard, but a lot of them haven't left town. They're still living in their parents' house, same bedroom as always, same friendship groups as always.
Which is quite a shame in a way. Like, it's nice that they, they're happy with what they're doing if they are.
Well, I hope they are.
But, comfort. The biggest killer is probably your comfort zone, isn't it? Really, just staying at home all the time, or not
that's-
actually making any new friends or going out outside of Brighton. I'm not saying Brighton's a bad place.
No, it's
been
not.
myself.
It's very much not a bad place at all. You know, a lot of the times I'm very bitter about not living there, but at the same time, you gotta leave. You gotta go out and see other things. And that does. I'm not. That doesn't mean go to Thailand all the time and all that. I mean, like live somewhere else.
Like what we've done in the last 3 years, or last 2 years for yourself. But I mean, you're going to America next year. Holy
Yeah,
shit,
exactly.
that's sick.
Oh yeah,
That's
forgot.
so fucking cool, man.
I forgot for a fleeting moment.
Mate, you're gonna do really well.
Yeah, but I have to cross a border on my own. Never done that before, and go to a scary border guard and show him my passport, and then maybe get deported. Who knows?
Let's hope not.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Americans are known to be quite scary on their border to foreigners. If you don't say the exact right thing at the exact right time. I mean, every single person I've met's been alright. I think it'll be alright, but it'll be scary. That's the thing. New place again. Like I said earlier.
Or I can think. No, go on. What were you gonna say?
No, again, I hit the reset button. Sorry, it's not interesting at all. What were you gonna say?
No. Finish off. I cut you off.
No, it's literally. I was literally gonna say, like freshers again. Starting anew. But like with this, it's gonna be, and I say this a lot in front of international students, and they go, "Lol, that's me," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry," but like for non-international students, obviously you will have a vague area of retreat in case something goes wrong. So fortunately, Joseph, Terry, and I went to the same sixth form. So if everything went wrong, I'd always have Joseph to go to, and likewise he'd have always me to go to. Yeah, we went to the same sixth form. That's where we met. We were in the same politics class.
Holy shit! I had no idea.
Yeah,
I know you're both from Brighton, but
oh no, he's from Eastbourne. He went like 45-minute train ride every day. I was a 10-minute walk. It was calm.
What the?
Yeah, that's how we met. That's why I'm in Expression now, because he brought me in.
That's mad.
Yeah. Sorry, where? What? I don't know where. Yeah. So obviously, and I know some people who went to university in other places in the UK, and every weekend they go home. I can't do that. I'm not a billionaire, so and also this college is in the middle of nowhere, so probably by the time I get home I have to go back again. So it'll be quite a tricky thing to do. But I need to talk to more international students, because obviously they know how it is to go somewhere on a complete blank slate, and no guarantees of anything. It could be a very lonely year. Probably won't be, hopefully. Well, again, and there's gonna be a myriad of people that I'm gonna know that exist right now. They're doing things right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know who they are. I don't know how many they're gonna be. It could be one person, could be 20 people, could be everyone. Who knows? It's not a big college.
Do they have any societies or anything?
I don't know. They're called like clubs, and I don't know what they are. They make no sense. They're all very confusing. Some of them, they don't let you in unless you have high enough grades.
Jesus.
I have those grades, I think. Depends how they calculate my GPA, but I think I have those grades. Because I'll just bring up my A levels, because they're probably way better than what I currently have.
You're a smart kid.
I don't think I'm a smart kid. I just said I know I said I'm not smart, but I always stick true to this phrase: think smarter, or work smarter, not harder. So in exams, for example, I kind of treat exams a bit almost as if it's like you can game the system. I know it's dodgy, but it works. So I think I've been pretty good. If I'm motivated, I can put the knowledge in my brain for very short-term memory, that it's there and it's locked in for that period of time. But when the exam ends, it's gone. Straight away it's gone. And it's really good for exam technique, but it's not good for learning, because I think exams are ridiculous.
I believe coursework is a better way of doing it.
Exactly. It's so much better because you have more time to think about what you do.
Unless it is probably medicine students.
Oh, yeah.
They need to learn so much. And 5 years is still... seems like a long time, but for what they have to do is actually quite
If
short.
you're doing a practical subject or like maths or something like that where there is a right or wrong answer, then fine. Exams might be a good option, but, I do humanities. I did humanities at A-level, I do humanities here. Exams are pointless for that.
It's 24
Yeah.
hour essay, isn't it?
I'd be better off, like if because they say, oh, we want to see how you work in a quick scenario. You don't have much time to think about it. Okay, then do something like this. I'll happily, sit down and talk to you about why, I don't know, why North Korea is a bad place to live or whatever. I'll happily sit down and talk to you about it rather than, go in a tennis court building and write for 2 hours straight, on a multiple choice question that's worded weirdly. Shout out to whoever did those questions.
How was it worded weirdly?
Oh, it's just kind of like, what is the most important thing on a presidential campaign? And then they gave a list of things. I'm like, that's an opinion. That's an opinionated question.
So
Depends who you ask.
That was a right or wrong sort of.
That was a multiple choice question.
Do you have to justify your answers?
No, it's literally A, B, C, or D. Which one?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What were the...
I think I put... What was it? I think I put strong polling figures or something. Because I remember the fact that in America, for some reason, everyone likes a winner. If they see you're winning, then people will happily support you for some reason.
I guess it could be they don't want to be associated with something that's losing.
Yeah, exactly. But
I mean, it's not the only thing. Obviously, there's probably plenty of reasons why. But you were saying
Joseph put he put good speeches. And I didn't put that mainly because I've heard some rubbish speeches from people who won. Not going to say any names, but you probably work it out. But you know what I mean? That is not a factual question. That is an opinion. That is you can have different political scholars argue about which one is the right one.
If they worded it close to a scholar that you've looked at, maybe it could be. If they did, I was to say, if they did,
According to this, they didn't do that though.
Yeah, that would make more sense, but because it's a very general... Yeah, that is a very opinionated thing.
There was... I mean, there's questions like, what year was this? Fine, that makes sense.
Like...
when was the Constitution written? Or, when was the independence called for? How many votes do you need for... What percentage of votes do you need for this to happen or whatever? Those make sense. Because the thing is, there's a lot of things in US politics, especially where you can make it binary. But for some reason they just didn't do that in those questions. So hey, cheers for that, lads. But yeah, screw exams. If I ever get to power, which I won't.
Dictator Ben.
No, not dictator. No way. I'd hate that. You have to be a bit up yourself to be a dictator, I think. I would remove most exams. GCSEs are hard as well. I never realised how hard GCSEs were until I've been at university, especially. Because I was thinking, how are you meant to juggle 9 subjects at quite a high level? That's hard. I struggle with 1 now. I'm complaining that I have to do 4 modules.
And what's your contract hours like?
What, 15 a week? Or I can't even remember.
And you'd probably do that over 2 or 3 days in secondary school, right? Those 15 hours, no less, because it's what 9
6-hour day.
6 hours, yeah. So 3 days in, you've already done more hours back then than you would a week. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than that as well. Actually, so it's you got to be good at maths, 2 forms of English, 3 different sciences.
Extra options like business.
Normally, 2 humanities, or whatever. Something artsy. What else? We also did religious studies. Lol. Some people didn't do that. You have to do PSHE for some reason. You got to juggle PE. If you don't like sport, unlucky. I felt bad for those people. What else? There was other stuff. I've had a brain fart. No, what was I gonna say? Oh, I can't remember.
We're talking about how hard.
Yeah, no, but I'm trying to remember my subjects now.
Okay.
But yeah, but you know what I mean. You got to go from doing maths to doing geography to doing history to doing English literature. Thank God I didn't do an English literature exam. Those were ridiculous. So here's an entire poetry anthology. Remember all of it. Go. And we'll ask you about one of those poems without you having the poem in front of you. That's insane. That's ridiculous. Sometimes as well, they just ask you random stuff about the plot of Macbeth or Hamlet or something without the book in front of you.
What do you think that does for us as an adult? How that helps us as an adult?
The only thing that I would say it's good for in terms of examinations is if you're at work, someone comes up to you and they say, do this now, and then you do it. But that's why I think 24-hour exams are good, not here's 1 hour on a non-calculator maths paper or whatever, because that's a memory test. That's just a memory test on what you can remember the content on. Because when you realise that like some history papers and some religious studies papers and some sociology papers and stuff, they all blend together, and like sometimes you realise it's the same stuff but different nouns. So I just think it's one of those things that what it does really is it just whittles people down to grades, and then you can then allocate them different things. So you got those grades, so you can go there. You didn't get those grades, so you can't. It's a good way of chopping people up and splitting them up and sending them out. Like the only, GCSEs as well. Again, another thing that I didn't realise. At the time you feel like, oh my god, if I don't get these grades, I'm gonna fail in life. I didn't get any flashy GCSE grades. Highest grade I got was a 7, and it's always upsetting as well because you see these like famous people and I say, what did you get at GCSE? And they go, oh, I got 3 9s and everything else 8s and all that. And I got a bunch of 6s and 7s.
It's funny you mention it. I don't. It doesn't particularly matter in a way.
No, absolutely not. As long as you get a solid pass, who cares?
I've got my GCSEs. I've got 4 Cs, and that's probably the highest.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you get solid passes,
Yeah.
in the main ones, it's fine. As long as you get what you need to get to sixth form.
That's
well done. Unless you're going to some elitist sixth form, like some super mega maths college, which most people aren't. Then it's it really doesn't matter. A levels do matter quite a lot, and fortunately I clocked in for those ones, so that was alright.
How many subjects do you do for that?
3.
3.
Some people do 4, some people do 2, but most people do 3.
Right. That's because I did college, so I've only got I think it was 2 modules a term that we did.
Damn.
And that was uniform services as well. So
Oh, what, you went to like MPCT or whatever?
went to CRC, so Cambridge Regional College.
Okay.
In our first year, it was the police academy,
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Yeah.
and
You
in
like
the second year I did just it was still known as the police academy, but we weren't as police orientated.
yeah.
Then I did level 4 and 5 and just generic police, in generic uniform services.
And what qualifications did you get that got you here then?
So that was a level 4 and 5 HND,
I've never heard of that. Oh my god.
higher national diploma. So you
Oh.
at the moment,
yeah.
you're a level 5 student because you're a second year of
Oh
uni.
yeah, boy. Level 5, motherfrickers. Take that.
Yeah.
I like that. It's quite a high number.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yes, like, I mean, you could do some mad. Oh, this is gonna make me feel ill. But like, what year? If you kept on going after year 11, so what, year 11, and then year
2016
12,
was
year
when
13, and then I'm in year 15. I just finished year 15.
I don't know.
What did you just finish?
Yeah.
Well,
18, 19.
What are you? What would you say? You're a third year?
Yeah. Well, I am.
So yeah, you just finished year 16. 16 years of education.
No, more because I'm a bit older, aren't I?
But like, what have you done?
So you did 2 years of A levels. I did 4 years of college, which is
Oh, so
an
you're
extra 2
year
years.
18.
Yeah.
Ew, that's
It
like
is
that's
ew.
an adult. You've bred an adult of educational brain. That's just insane.
Yeah, I'm happy this is my last year of full-time education. I'm
Oh.
always open to the idea of like a part-time master's or something down the line. But for
Maybe.
Now, but for now, it's just move on.
I want to make a difference. That's the thing with me. There we go. Finally found a way in to talk about personal psychology here. I want to make a difference. That's what I want to do in my life. I don't care about money. That's the thing. That's the thing that I always like to work out. But it's it's not the kind of thing you ask people. Is what do you want to achieve? Like when you're old as hell and you're sitting in some nice armchair. I don't know where, but you're sitting in a nice armchair and you reflect on what you achieved in your life. What is the thing that you look back on and you will say that as a metric is what you've done well with? And, it depends who you ask. Some people will say, I had fun. Some people will say, I made money. Some people will say that they made a positive difference for people. It ultimately depends on who you ask. I'm the kind of person who wants to make a positive difference. I'm not motivated too much by money, so long as it's fair and, there's like progression. If I was money, I'd be a finance person or whatever, working in a bank because, you don't work crazy hours yet you yield crap tons of money for not very much work.
When did you come to that realization? Because that's actually very impressive at 19 years old to come to that.
Oh, it was way younger than that. I remember I was proper young when I decided this. I think I was in Australia when I worked that out. I must have been like 11 or 12. But I think I'm also my entire family works in the public sector, so I guess it's a lot of that as well. I used to want to be a police officer, and then kind of tapped out when I realised that there's a lot of scumbag police officers. B, there's a lot of scumbag people out there that you got to deal with, and C, a lot of people that I know are police officers. Every time I mentioned, oh yeah, I'm considering being a policeman, and they're like, don't do it. They will immediately say, don't do it. So maybe not that, but civil service or something. Hopefully, famously doesn't pay the big bucks, but
has a big impact.
Exactly, has a big impact. Or it depends which department, but hopefully has a big impact in what you can do. And yeah, everyone has a different objective, and it's always interesting. Some people don't know, and that I know normally they're the most interesting people to ask about. And that's the one thing that always is a good metric for working out what kind of person you are. If you want to work out who you are, is what you want to do. Because if you're motivated by money, then normally I have some other things that I say about money motivated people, but one thing you can say is it's a target. They're very simply goal orientated. They want something to achieve and to aim for, rather than it's people who want to have fun. I suppose those are the kind of people that must look at life in a certain way. I don't know how to look at it, but
Do you mean it depends on like how you see it intrinsically or extrinsically? And do you know what I mean by the difference? Do you know what the differences are between those two?
Not gonna lie,
So
I don't.
An extrinsic thing is something that's material.
Mhm.
So like you said, money,
Yeah.
fun. I guess fun could. I don't know. Fun could be intrinsic as well, actually.
Well, a lot of people, there's a dream about working in something that they just enjoy doing. That's why a lot of people would quite like to do broadcasting or whatever. Some people say they enjoy making money, but again, for me personally, if I worked, let's say I got a high-paying job at Amazon, right? Not CEO or anything. I don't know, something like in charge of the south of England's, something like that. Oh, that'd be a well-paying job at Amazon, right? If you retire, you'll probably make way more money than what I could ever make if I achieve everything I do in the civil service in a non-corrupt career, because I'm sure you can make money in the civil service if you're a dodgy person. But if you work something like Amazon, you're sitting in that chair when you're retired and you look back on your life and say what you achieved. I feel like the main thing you can say that you achieved is I helped make money for other people and myself. I made somebody else richer. And personally, that
does not sound like a very successful life.
I mean, for some people, they won't look at it like that. They'll just say, I made lots of money. I set up my kids or whatever. But,
I think that's a beautiful thing to settle your kids. I think that's quite nice.
But I think they would value material. They'll say, oh, I love my kids because I bought them this.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no.
Some people might do it like that.
I think I meant as like you provide your kids like a good foundation. They've had a good life because you've worked hard for it. It's not like you buy them everything like Lamborghinis and stuff.
Exactly.
I would agree with you there, because that would be a very, very spoiled, very bad upbringing, because that's just as...
A lot of people, when you have a lot of money, they can accidentally forget the difference between, saying, oh, I'm a good parent because I care about my kids. I bought them this. You also got to, be good to them. Yeah, and that you don't need money for that. You just need to be a good person, and that's completely different.
That could be like them excusing their actions, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could be very aggressive and very someone that always wants the best. No, not always wants the best, but it's very pushy and always trying to make sure they're never failing or anything like that. And yet, you think that's a good thing because you feel like you have your kids' best intentions. But no, I would disagree and agree with what you're saying. I know exactly where you're coming from.
And I mean that's why like people who want to work in healthcare the most, they're the best. Because they really don't get paid anything. They get paid absolutely nothing at the moment, and they know that. They know that all too well. Yet they insist on doing it anyway because they know that it's an important job that's good that people need. I love those people. They're honestly the nicest people, and when you see them do their job, you truly they're brilliant. I've never met anyone who's been trying to get a medical degree or something like that that's been a bit of an arse about things. They've all been honestly the most sound, warming people that that can listen, but can also, talk about nice things as well. They got their feet on the ground. They're excellent people, and I aspire to be like them, but ew, blood and all that.
That's funny. Come from someone who's part of the MOD.
Ish. I don't know. That's maybe why I got involved in that, I suppose.
Was that wanting to help others?
Yeah. And that, a lot of people go, oh, yeah, but war crimes, though. And I'm like, do you think I'm going to do that? Do you genuinely think I'm going to do anything like that? Because I think, it's one of those things where I always find it, generalizations about anything I don't like. That's why, even I'm quite annoying about generalizations, because even when people say we about football, and I'm a bit like, oh, wasn't really you, was it? It's the same thing when people say, I don't know, and it just goes back to politics, right? I never say things like the left or the right, whatever, because that's such a vague term that, if you think about it, you're literally putting billions of people into two words.
Categories, yeah.
And that's just absurd. So when people look at the armed forces and they just kind of go, oh, you're in the armed forces, are you? Okay, so that must mean you like guns, you don't like foreigners, you're ridiculously patriotic, and you want to kill people.
You don't like foreigners? Who said? Oh, because it's a UK national. Is that they only accept nationals?
No, it's not really it's not like that, but it's what people think. Because they think, oh, well, you want to go abroad and kill foreign people. That's what they think.
I think they're probably just not as educated.
No, most people were very much not educated about the military. I don't blame them. People I remember I used to kind of look at military bases, if you ever drive past one on the road, a bit like how you look at a prison. You don't really know what's going on in there. And the way you do know is either you go in there, but you kind of once you're in there, or you watch it on a film, which isn't very realistic. So you kind of get a bit whoa, about it all. But you kind of realise with the military that it's not like that at all. And the people you meet, obviously there will be people that maybe that really like guns, or some weirdo that actually is dead set on wanting to kill somebody or something like that, which is absurd. And by the way, I think I've only met one or two people that wanted to that were like that. The gun thing, loads of people. Just getting off my chest. Loads of people are crazy for those. And again, whatever floats your boat. I'm glad that you're doing that via the legal means rather than becoming a criminal or something. But I've always been keen to prove people wrong in that respect. Because obviously, first of all, guns are annoying. In terms of because the way I look at the rifle that they give you in that, I look at it as a tool. I don't think of it as look at this. It's what they all that it's just a thing that I have to use in order to do what they want me to do. So I just find it's a tool and it's a chore. That's how I value weapons in the army. And things like wanting to kill someone, that's honestly one of my worst nightmares. I don't like hurting people. I don't want to kill anyone. I'd be prepared to do it if they were putting other people at risk. If they're threatening to kill other people, then I'll be prepared to do it. But I don't want to murder anyone or anything like that. Foreigners, absolutely. I'm going to be a foreigner in a few months, so I have nothing against people being foreign or anything like that.
Have you had any debates with people at uni about it?
Yeah, I actually have, but that's the thing though. They don't know what they're talking about, so what they end up doing is they just kind of just saying the wrong things. I just kind of just shut up and just let them say what they want to say and then move on. A lot of people they say, oh, but I believe in total peace, and I'm like, me too. I'd rather not.
That's not realistic, though, is it?
But that's also why I'm a reserve, because you only go and fight if things are really bad, really really bad. Like we're being invaded or something. If I wanted to, do all the things that they think that I want to do, then why wouldn't I be in there right now, full Monty, in a proper regiment, ready to go right now, wearing tattoos all over me and all that, not like that. I just want to, do a bit of time,
Wait, in prison?
No, in the reserves.
But it's also an important thing to have, the military. It defends us. It protects
Yeah,
us.
what do I do? Like, I don't do any of that.
But I mean, in general.
Yeah, no, it does. And that's why most people are fine with our military. It's not, like people look like you get these like graphs that talk about what people's approval ratings are of different industries. They got politicians, they got bankers, they got like police officers, and I don't know, doctors and things. And they also have the military on it. Military is always really high up on that list of people. They trust them quite a lot. It has its right and its wrongs, but
What sector doesn't? What sector doesn't?
What do you mean? What sector struggle?
No, what sector doesn't have a right and wrong?
Because
you said the army have their rights and wrongs, and
there isn't any. All of them have issues.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like all of them completely do. And again, but that for someone like me, something like that, if I find out that the armed forces has issues with people committing war crimes, then arguably, if you want to get that problem solved, what you shouldn't be doing is saying, I'm going to leave now. You should arguably go in harder to make sure that doesn't happen. You shouldn't tap out and just kind of go, oh, this is a terrible thing that's happening, because it is a terrible thing, when that does happen. But don't leave then. If you're a good person, do it. Stay there. That was one thing that motivated me to be a police officer was, when George Floyd got killed, I was like, I really don't want to be a police officer after that. I don't want to be associated with someone like him. But if I were to join, I knew that if I was in that situation, I wouldn't have killed that man. I would have done the right thing. That's why if you're a person who can do the right thing and knows that, that they have, if they think about their morals, then you should double down on things like that, on positions where things get exploited. You should, work hard. I mean, a bit like where people become lawyers, I suppose. It's a profession that, I know a lot of good people who go for it, who have good morals. But obviously, everyone looks at lawyers in a really dodgy light because obviously the expensive, popular lawyers normally get rich people off charges.
They're just good at their job.
But the best lawyers are the ones who get paid nothing because they work for the government, the ones that get offered to people for free. They could very easily take a high-paying job at a law firm in London, going to the Old Bailey, wearing silly wigs and all that. But instead, they are free, free solicitors. I don't know the correct term. Free
barristers.
Solicitors, barristers, and all that do it for off-state money, which is way less than what they could get paid. Those are the kinds of people that are doing the right thing. Because they're offering a truly effective legal service. And I guess it all leads back to wanting to do right by people and wanting to make a positive impact on the world. I feel like, there's so many situations where, when you look at what's if someone does something that's a bit nasty, you kind of realise that it affects other people and makes everything else worse. You want people, if you want a better world, if you want a happier world, then you're going to have to try. You have to do your bit. You can't just go around going, oh, everyone else is doing everything that's rubbish. Well, what are you doing? You gotta pitch in. You gotta make the world a better place. And the easiest thing to do to make the world a better place is to be nice to people. That's the easiest thing. That is the most basic thing. So it's a political thing. It doesn't cost any money. There's no debate about it. You can be a nice person. That's the easiest thing because that makes other people happy and that makes the world a slightly happier place. I don't want to sound like some weird YouTube kids motivational speaker. Sound like
some of the diary of the CEO, but it's true.
Yeah, exactly.
I know exactly what you mean. It's very true. It's very true, and it's been around for centuries.
The
idea of being kind to others and helping others has always been something that's been around. And I know it's a bit hard, and it's not hard. It's never hard to do it. It's more that people were more taking it in vain, and using social media as a way of expressing this kindness. Do you know what I mean by that? Like people help out the homeless, but they record themselves doing it.
I don't care about that. I don't know why anyone should. I'm just talking about people you meet. Don't ignore them. Don't just cut somebody off. Be upfront. Because obviously, sometimes you can't. You have to say stuff that's honest. If you don't want to see someone someday, you have every single right to say that. But don't lead them on. Don't make them chase their own tails and things. You gotta be fair to people, and honest. And
But you also got to remember that people make mistakes as well.
absolutely, people make
And
mistakes.
I think we also need to be more forgiving.
Yeah.
In today's society.
And again,
as well.
that involves kindness. We're talking about just in social situations here, by the way. But you got to be, niceness and kindness and spreading, just making sure everyone's all right is enough to say that you're making the world a better place. If you're the kind of person that tramples over everybody else to promote your own yourself, then arguably, yeah, you might be doing stuff for your own image, great, but what you're doing is you're making everybody else upset, and that doesn't help, because that leads to people having, confidence issues, personal mental health issues, and things like
it's
that.
like a domino effect, isn't it?
A lot of people, they don't realise the positive or negative impacts they have on people. I bloody love the people that don't realise the positive impact they might have on my life or somebody else's life. They're great. You need to tell them that, you did that, by the way, that's amazing. You don't have to do that, but thank you. That goes a long way. Especially because I can be quite introverted sometimes.
I feel that.
But a lot of people, they do genuinely say, people that bother to talk to you and bother to check on how you are and things like that, it goes a long way, as much as they might not realise it. And that works the same the other way around with people who are nasty. They might not realise that they're being nasty. Everyone's probably been there at some point, especially with young people. We're keen to have a laugh, and normally that comes at somebody's expense. But sometimes people don't realise that it can kind of pull people down.
The worst one is when it happens to kids at a young age, like being bullied and stuff, and how that really fucks someone up for the rest of their life.
Yeah, it's people don't realise how fragile a time that is, in terms of what that makes you into and things like that. But sorry, I don't know what I was going to say. It was a really good point, and it's gone. Damn, we're on a good tangent though. We need to keep it alive. What was I saying?
Do you think the way you were affected by those people, by the football kids?
No, I wasn't. I'm the kind of person where if someone's being a knob, if someone's doing a crap job, it will motivate me to say, if I ever get into their position, I'm going to do better than them. Because, again, also, just because somebody else is being a bit nasty doesn't justify you being nasty, Just because, I don't know, you saw somebody punch someone doesn't mean you can. And then the same comes to people's attitudes, I suppose. You got to be nice to people not because other people have been nice to you, but because that is the right thing.
It's go back a little bit of what you just said. Marcus Aurelius, or I think it was Marcus Aurelius, who said, "The best revenge on someone is not to act the same way that they do."
Yeah, I agree with that. Because I think I've been in positions where I've seen somebody have a go at like leading or something, and I disagree with how they've done it, and they've not done it in the best fashion. Then I've had a go, and I've kind of felt a bit better about it because I feel like I've raised people's spirits or whatever. And the thing is as well is a lot of the time, obviously, the people who normally are the most popular and all that, it's never been me, and I'm not mad at that at all. I'm absolutely fine with it. But the people who are usually the most popular are normally people who are cracking the best jokes, the loudest, and normally at other people's expenses, because that normally lands on my lap sometimes. And I try not to clap back. If I've ever made jokes at people's expenses, I usually come to regret it because it's just not nice.
It depends how far you go, though. I think you need to be able
Yeah, obviously
banter is important. You don't want to be a pushover.
Yeah, no. There's that as well.
Like if I insulted you, I wouldn't. It depends on how low you go, And
it depends on how many times you do it. Because I've been at times where it's been like, if there's a large group of people and it's only going to one person all the time, then that can really fucking suck. Because that's been me before in certain crowds, and it's just kind of like, is it me? Is there something wrong with me? What am I doing? And obviously no one afterwards kind of goes, by the way, everything I said was a clear cut, not true, I'm doing it, but that doesn't happen. So, people like me that gets bottled up in your head, and can lead to some difficult emotions to tackle. But there's other people, I believe that there is a kind of way, it's about the same way looking at just comedy in general, right? There's so many people that go around saying, oh, everything's too woke nowadays. I'm going to do this show and it's going to upset people on purpose. Take that, woke people. But, look at comedians like Peter Kay. Peter Kay, people would say, is one of the best British comedians of all time. I've watched his stuff online, and it looks really good. And he doesn't stamp down on anyone or punch up on anyone. He just is funny. That, I feel, is what people should be aiming for, because you can be funny, and you still can make jokes at people's expenses, because I do it, but I mainly prioritize that to people who are either like famous or something, people who I'll never meet, or people who are, who everyone might agree is a bit nasty or, not very nice or something like that,
I think it depends on your sense of what your comedy
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Some
Everyone's
people
got different tastes.
Some people
I
love
wouldn't
it.
want everyone to have to make the same jokes and be targeted to the same people, because it's boring. And then you'd lose a lot of comedians, and it would just be it wouldn't be comedy in a way, because comedy's unique to yourself, isn't it, really? Your sense of humour is probably different to mine.
Yeah.
And it depends on what you like and what you don't. I think it doesn't particularly matter in a way, but I guess you'd say it differently.
It depends how it impacts people, because some people go, oh, well, I was just being funny. Like I've had, I've heard people say some really horrible shit, and then they kind of go, oh, but it was just a joke. Oh, okay, all is forgiven. And that's not a very good guise, because.
Do you mean? Are we talking about comedians, or are we talking about in person people in public with people?
I'm more talking about just people that you know.
I think if it's a comedian, you're gonna go for a comedy show.
Yeah, exactly. That is different. But I'm just talking about people that you meet. People that you know. I've had it with family and stuff as well, where someone might say something that gets under your skin, and they'll say, oh, it's just a joke, don't take it to heart. And then, I've said stuff back, and then they go, whoa, that's too far. I'm like, well, where's the line? Where is the line? I don't know, because that dug deep into me. But I didn't react like that. But now you are, and, it's just utterly baffling sometimes. But yeah, it kind of goes back to kind, I guess it's more a case of you need to check how people are quite often. If you just wind someone up for a laugh, you got to make sure that they're all right with it. If they're not laughing that much, then, cut it out, or just check they're all right. Because I've seen some people who do the opposite, where, oh, they're not laughing or fucking with it too much. Right, well, I'm doubling down. I'm all in. I'm putting more chips in. This is too easy an opportunity. But you got to realise that, some people it can really, lead to a spiral. So I think what, in my opinion, is more, I don't know what the word is, more, not just about, more, a better target to aim for is a kind of humour that I think doesn't really climb down on anyone in your group, or if it is climbing down on someone's group, because when I do make jokes, most of the time at someone Spencer's, it's so heavily sarcastic that if you don't see that it's sarcasm, then, oh boy, maybe this is my problem when I go to the States. I might be finished.
It's that golden rule they always say, isn't it? Treat others as if how you'd want them to.
Exactly. If
you give someone really harsh banter, expect it back.
Yeah, exactly. Because, oh my God, so many people, especially at uni, they give it out and then you give it back, and then oh dear, oh no, really? Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
I've had it. My flat this year has been probably the funniest group of people I've been with.
Oh no, yeah, I've seen them around. Yeah,
we've said some of the most harsh, darkest sort of stuff to each other, but we know it's just a joke.
Yeah.
And I know I wouldn't say the same.
It's because you're in a good circle and you know where the line is.
Yeah, and it's about knowing your audience is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but when you're meeting random people and some people just turn up and they start aggro taking the mick, whenever people find out that I do reserve stuff, they kind of start going on about that. Right, I've heard people, like, a classic joke that people make that kind of gets on my nerves a bit is people when they say, oh, you're going to drop the soap. And, personally, when you think about jokes like that, and, because the thing that upsets me the most about when people make jokes like that, though, is that if you were to make a joke like that in a similar light, they would not take it well at all.
With similar lights. What do you mean?
Because dropping the soap is straight up reference to anal rape. That I'm just putting that out there.
What do you mean by similar light? Like,
if you made a joke about rape, people wouldn't take it well.
oh, I see. Like, because the
Yeah.
way you're wording it hides. It doesn't hide it, but it's.
Yeah, dropping the soap, people think, haha, funny. But, like, when you think about it, it is anal rape. Like, that is what that is. I don't appreciate it, especially when you're talking about people that I know and like in an industry, hundreds of people that don't do that. And now you're associating them with raping each other. I'm not a fan of that.
But it depends. If they come across as serious with what they're saying, then yeah. But if it's only a joke.
Well, again, but I'm worried that it will send the wrong message and it will send ignorance. And also, again, this is where treating people the way you I wouldn't joke about anyone's job or society that they're a part of or interests they may have in that respect. And especially wouldn't reference someone getting raped, because it's a bit nasty and it's a bit backwards, because I know that person probably enjoys what they do. Like, I think the worst I've given is people who are in Swifty sock, and I just say, how she flies everywhere on her plane. That's kind of it.
That's quite funny. That's. I think the harshest thing I've said about that is that it's like an underground Ku Klux Klan or something.
But I think they would secretly enjoy that, to a point. Not the Ku Klux Klan element, but more the fact, the point that they're like some inward-facing group of people that you can spin it, because you can look for the meaning behind a joke, and that's the thing. You can look for what's behind it. That's also why hiding behind the guise of a joke and hiding behind the guise of being drunk are two similar things. Because
say that again.
Hiding behind if you say something and then you kind of go, oh, well, it was just a joke. And, if you say something that could run someone up the wrong way and you say, oh, but I was just drunk. When I hear both of those things, completely meaningless. Because, I'll say this very quickly. I don't really get drunk. I'm not interested in that. It's expensive. You feel rubbish afterwards. And
you make mistakes.
And, yeah. But, the one thing that because someone said, oh, by the way, because they say, how are you? You've had some drinks. And I go, I'm like this. And I go, that means you're drunk. And I'm like, am I? Because I still feel like I can have a completely sensible grown-up conversation at all levels. The most, drinks I've ever had in one night, very shortly afterwards, I was doing the most intense first aid of my life at quite a high standard. So I didn't class myself as even being drunk then. But, people have said really nasty things when they were drunk, right? And then they say the next day, oh, well, I was drunk. I'm really sorry. But it's still the same brain.
It's drunk actions reveal true intentions.
Exactly. That's why.
Because it inhibits your, I think it's your frontal lobe or your, some region in the brain that inhibits your reasoning and stuff.
Yeah.
If you're intoxicated.
So what I think intoxication does is, all it does is it kind of unlocks an element of your brain that kind of this filter, opens up this filter of I'm just going to say what I think now without filter. It's that person that did this. I'm just going to say this nasty thing about them. I'm going to have a go at them because that's what I think. You don't have this kind of thing of it's not very polite to do that. I'll keep that to myself. No, you're going to let it spill out all over the place because it's the same brain. You're not going to, I'm not going to start drinking alcohol and then, suddenly, start saying that I'm proud. I want to move to North Korea all of a sudden and it's a great place. I'm not going to suddenly start saying that because I wouldn't say that sober. I don't think that sober. So why would I, just because I've had some cans, So in that respect, when someone might say something that might upset somebody, or and you hide behind that, oh, I was just drunk, because me, I'm a severe overthinker. If if you ever know me properly, you'll know that I'm a great overthinker. I'm thinking about what thing people have said to me years ago and still getting whoa about that. But what drunk people say to you arguably is a reflection of what they are thinking without a filter. And this one's quite funny. This is a really bad comparison for me. But you referenced Joseph Stalin earlier, but this is why Joseph Stalin was famous for never drinking. He would never drink. And the reason why is because he would go to banquets, watch everybody else get drunk, and then he'd work out what they actually think about him, because they'll say stuff while they're intoxicated.
Yeah.
As much as a knob that man was, that's a
Well,
bit clever.
that is very
Yeah.
clever. Very
Donald Trump doesn't drink either.
Is it bad that I don't drink either?
Do you not?
Not done.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, you don't.
Since my 21st.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons actually why I don't drink.
Yeah, 'cause you're gonna-
I've done dumb shit in my past.
Yeah. I think I do dumb shit as a sober person. So
Oh, we do.
God
do.
knows.
My God, we all
God
do.
knows
Imagine
what I'm
how
like.
boring we'd be if we didn't.
Yeah,
Dumb
exactly.
shit.
But God knows what I'm going to be like if I get intoxicated. I'll be all over the place.
We're
It'll
not
be-
intoxicated that night. Went to fever. I'm pretty sure I'm literally like hugging you from behind, like just shaking you when we're this.
Yeah, but that was you. I was just there. Like, you know.
That's actually no. That's a good point. I don't know why I'm even. I don't know why I'm being you until she had no choice.
Yeah, exactly. I was just existing in that space. But
You don't need to drink to have a good time either. I think that is
exactly, definitely
I
not.
think that is one of the biggest misconceptions and also one of the biggest shames of uni. Not shames. I think it's. Well, yeah, I think it's a shame that people have to come to uni just to drink to have fun. I think I understand in a way though when you're so anxious that you need to drink to calm your nerves. Like that's it's easy for me to say that at 21 when I stopped drinking that it's it's okay not to drink. But when I was 18, if I came to uni at 18, I know I'd be drinking.
Yeah,
because I was a very anxious person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I guess it's
a good way to fit in and
socialize
lose yourself. But like that's why, because apologies to the many listeners, but we had a little conversation before about clubbing before we started this episode, and I kind of said that I'm not big on that, and this is one of the reasons why is that everyone kind of goes, oh yeah, you have to get drunk to have a good time, and I'm like, well then that's not good, because from what I understand, everything's more fun when you're drunk. So look at it from a sober perspective. If it's not good while it's sober, then it's not. That's why I'm more of a pub person than a club person, because you can have fun in a pub while sober. Because you can just eat some nice fish and chips or something.
You can have better conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think a club's that bad. I don't like.
No, because you can have fun in a club. I've had fun in a club while sober. Honestly, it was great. You just need to have the right music and the right people.
The right people always make it.
Exactly.
They'll always make it.
But if it's a nightclub where there's weirdos walking around, because it's one of those ones, because everyone has at least one of those.
Do you know what? I don't think I've ever experienced. I know it definitely happens.
When I went with you, the one time I went with you, there was a guy trying to sell me drugs on the dance floor. He was holding up 2 mystery bags, and I was like, "No, go away." I said he wants some.
No, you're very right. Actually, there was also. Sorry,
Yeah.
can't finish.
No, I'm done. You go.
Oh, sorry for cutting you off. There was a weird guy that night as well who kept like walking around these girls, like staring at them.
Yep.
Do you remember the? I don't know. He's like a really short. He's like a bit of a short ass.
Oh,
he's
maybe,
like,
yeah.
Staring at him as like they're sitting down, and it was beyond weird. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, there was another guy who paid for a bottle of champagne that has like sparklers that go off when they bring it to you, and then like suddenly loads of women started going up to him, and it was just kind of like, well, where's pay to win? Like what you just
Cheat
buy.
code.
Yeah, exactly, and that looks a bit dodgy as well. I feel kind of bad for them, and that's why. Unfortunately, most clubs in Exeter are like that. Every single one I've been to, some weirdo, especially if you're with girls, you'll see, because obviously more weirdos go for girls. If you're with a group of girls, you're gonna get some proper weirdos come out to them, and it just kind of ruins. You kind of go like, ugh, I feel bad for them now. Good on them for being resilient enough to bat them away, because I'd flop immediately. And that, yeah, I guess that's the case of why I'm not too big on like traditional mediums of clubbing, like Prism. Don't ever go to a Prism. That's the main thing I've been told. Nasty place. And also, I don't like. One thing I'm not a fan of, for me personally, and I wish I was, because it would make life so much easier. But I'm not a fan of almost prescribed culture, and club music is quite a lot of that. It's a lot of like, listen to this song because this is what's popular, so you'll like it. And I'm like, well, what? I don't care if it's popular. It's not my cup of tea. I kind of like stuff that just sounds good for the sake of it sounding good, not because the artist, has a lot of hype behind them, and they have to release a new album.
I think older
whatever.
music sounds better than new
Oh
music.
yeah, that's the one good nightclub I had. It was a 60s and 70s night,
Ooh.
and it was, oh my god, it was so good. And I'm sad I left early, but I had to. But they were playing a whole lot of Love by Led Zeppelin, and I was like, damn, this is such a good song, and I'm leaving. Oh, it was so good, and I wish they'd do another one of those. You know, if they did one at Flippin' Fever, mate, I'll be straight in there. And the good thing is as well about music like that is, you know, it's not just kind of like, okay, we're now going to play ABBA, and now we're going to play
ABBA again.
Yeah, and ABBA, and now we're going to play Katy Perry, and now we're going to play, I don't even know, you know, just some random, you know, it's all like the same stuff. You get it all the time. Like, you know, isn't it like a rule that they play Mr. Brightside at the end, like at the final song of the night? Apparently, that's a big thing. You know, make it new, make it different, you know, because it just seems like they all use the same playlist everywhere they go. And, you know, I don't want that. That's not, you know, you wouldn't want to go to the same birthday party all the time. You know, that'd be boring. You want to go to, you know, you want stuff that's fresh, stuff that's new, stuff that you haven't heard before, that is being played purely because it sounds good and not because it's popular and it's what, you know, it's good enough. People know the words, so, you know, it's all right. And also, I'm a bit an old person now. It's a bit too loud as well. I'll finish on that. It's a bit too loud.
It's too loud.
Yeah. You know, I don't like the hearing loss thing when you leave. That freaks me out.
I also think, for me with clubbing, is when I like getting up early in the morning anyway.
Oh,
So if I'm
yeah,
going to
you're
bed
finished
late,
then, yeah.
Yeah, you've basically fucked up the whole of the next day.
Oh, yeah, and also I'm not that much of a, with like random people, a touchy-feely person. And it freaks me out all the time when you're just trying, like, standing there doing your thing, and then someone just like pushes you or like scrapes you back or with your elbow. It's just kind of like, ugh, I just can't do it. It just freaks me out. I'm like, I don't know who you are. Get out of my space, you know. And you're cramped in a hot room and everything, and it's just, it's just not my thing. You know. That's why if there's a house party, I'm all about the quiet room. There's always a quiet room. I'm all about that room. That's where the good vibes are.
I tell you what, it's funny you mentioned that actually.
Yeah.
In second year, my friend Tom, the really hench guy that you met at the Swalway.
He might have chatted shit about me.
It wasn't him.
Ah.
I can promise you.
Oh, that's a relief. Because that means I can fight the person then, maybe. No. That was a joke for legal purposes.
Me and him went to a house party in second year. So everyone was getting drunk playing beer pong in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And there's me and him and like two other guys in the front room.
Yeah.
And we're just basically getting high.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, I tell you what, probably one of the best house parties I've ever been to.
It's so much better, just like, you know.
Because everyone's quite rowdy and loud in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just you guys sitting there laughing at each other's expenses.
Yeah. And making a connection. Because, like, you know, a formula for a good party is finding a connection that you can all do together, but also flourish in your own respect, if that makes sense. So if you're all playing beer pong, then, you know, you're all playing beer pong. You know, that's it. You play beer pong. You throw a ball into a cup. That's it. You know. But if you're sitting in a room talking to each other whilst on weed, I imagine. Was it weed?
It was CBD oil.
Oh, so legal.
Yeah.
Get in. Or maybe you're saying that just for the sake of the broadcast. You're not gonna bait yourself out. But you know, you're united over that. But at the same time, you're seeing how other people react over it. You know, it's a unique thing. And, like, you know, I bet as well, I might be wrong, I probably might miss the mark completely, but were they playing really loud music as well with the beer pong in the same room?
No, I don't think
Not
so.
really loud, okay. Because
I don't think they even play music.
I've been to house parties where, like, there's a room full of people having a chat and then someone brings a speaker in and it just plays loud music.
You can't hear anything.
Yeah. I'm like, well, you know.
You might as well just go to a club if you're going to do
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Or, I mean, and that's the thing, like, you know, I like making connections with people, and you can't really do that in a nightclub because you can't talk to them. All you can do is just basically look at them. Like, that's it. And, you know, you can do that with a photo or whatever, or a weird, you know, like video or whatever. You know, talking to people is the best way to make a bond with somebody, and you can't really do that in a nightclub. And, you know, that's a shame. Unless the music is truly banging, in which case then it's fine.
Then it's justified.
But if it's California Girls again for the 3,000th time, I'm sorry, but, like, that's boring. Why that song? I don't understand. They play Baby and all that. Like, I don't. No, thank you.
That's not my.
This is why. Pick jazz, ladies and gentlemen. Jazz. That's a quality quality genre, because it's different every time. As a rule, if you watch it live, you can play the same song twice, it'd be completely different because of the solos. That's what makes it good. That's why I like it. That's why I dig it. That's a jazz word as well. Dig.
Do you dig it?
Do you dig the jazz? You hip to the jive, soul brother. Yeah, don't speak like that. But I want to go to a proper jazz bar. I'm stuck at the bootlegger
You've been
on
to the
4th
bootlegger?
Street. Yeah, it's alright, but they rarely play an actual jazz night. It's like once a month, and it's, free entry though. But I want to go to a proper one, like it's in a basement, and there's like proper tables that are angled towards a stage, and like people like properly clap the solos and stuff, and like there's people there just on their own and all that. That's the kind of place I want to go. I'll be happy, truly happy in a place like that, because you truly do appreciate all forms of instrument. That's my ideal world, but there's nothing like that here really. That consistently does that, unfortunately. But who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what could be?
When you come back in 2 years' time.
Well,
Or
wherever I end up after that as well. Might be maybe. I think apparently there's a place in Brighton, but it's proper secret. Like I think it's like the kind of thing like you have to it's an unmarked building, and you just kind of knock on the door and then they let you in.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I want to be involved in, and not just hello, do you want to go TP Wednesday or whatever? I'll never know what TP Wednesday. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's truly amazing.
Your jazz club is actually a TP Wednesday.
Yeah, maybe TP Wednesday is a brilliant jazz quartet. But yeah, I'm just thinking about that actually. Everyone goes nuts for that. Timepiece Wednesdays.
I don't know if I've ever been actually.
Yeah, because the tickets sell in like less than a minute.
Yeah, that's also a thing as well, isn't it?
Just exclusivity and reselling?
It's reselling, but people are just so obsessed with going to a club.
I feel like a lot of club culture now is less so for the actual raw enjoyment of it, and more to well, I mean,
What do you think, like pulling and stuff, or
a little bit of that. Some people go for that. And you can see that obviously. You just turn around. Whoa, hello. Okay, right. Yep. Good for them.
right in your face?
Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like people go just a bit of FOMO, I suppose. That's why I end up going. If I don't go, people might think I'm a bit of a box, which is why I am, a bit of a square. But, I'm fine with that. But at the same time, just to fit in, so you stay in the loop with the friends and things, because clubbing isn't just the exclusivity of clubbing. It's the preying, it's the walking there, it's standing in the line, it's getting the tickets, it's going to the cloakroom, it's figuring out when to leave, it's leaving, it's getting the food afterwards, it's walking back, it's talking about it the next day. It's all those extra things as well that a lot of people like. Walking to the club, great fun, love that bit. The after bit as well, fabulous, love those elements. But the actual bit in the middle, oh dear, it's a bit too much for someone like me. But I'm jealous of people who really do like it, because I know there's those people who really do enjoy it, and I'm jealous of people who are like that, because obviously
you should be jealous, man. Everyone's got their different interests, and
I know, but I wish it was something as mainstream as that, and that's why I think I said earlier, I wish I was like this. And I'm envious of those who really do enjoy popular music that's played on the radio all the time, because it's on the radio all the time. It's right there. What you like is there. It's easily accessible. It's I don't know why. I just can't. I just don't hack it. And I wish I did, to be honest. It's That's why I wish that sometimes I was a bit more. I don't know. A bit more. I don't want to say the wrong thing about most people, but
just say what comes out your mind.
A bit more like simple, a bit more basic. And there's nothing wrong with being simple and basic. But I wish I was a bit like that,
Yeah, I think one of my favourite things that I've picked up is a routine that seems to everyone like really boring and basic and limiting on your life. But do you know what?
It's not. It's a niche
really
thing.
Fun. It's actually really fun.
What, we're just maintaining a daily routine?
Yeah, like waking up really early, going to the gym. I see the same people in the gym, and they're actually lovely people as well.
Yeah.
You have a fantastic conversation. Actually, a guy that I go to gym with, we went to Brody's the other day.
Oh yeah.
And literally, the guy is got 2 kids, got a family, and and we're having a fantastic conversation about life and stuff, and just
That sounds
working
brilliant.
out. And
It's
it
a
was
wonderful
brilliant,
connection.
But it's the thing that this started just from having that routine, and
Yeah.
one time it was like a fire alarm. We just started saying hi, and then it just became good
I
friends.
would say that's not basic though. That's not a basic. I'm talking about like like the basic bitch thing.
What's the basic bitch thing?
It's the basic bitch is the thing about someone who just does the mainstream. It's quite predictable what they do. Like if they go to someone's house and they have a balcony and there's a sunset, what they'll do is everyone will do the same picture of them holding the glass the same way. It's like a joke on the internet, the basic bitch and the basic bro type thing. It's a bit like the Exeter subculture. Of like, they all wear the same shirt and chinos and the same shoes and they all buy the same stash and they all do, stuff like that. It's a bit like, everywhere has their own kind of basic things. And, there's times where I wish that I was like that because that would be, I think life would be a bit more easier and I wouldn't be worrying about as many things. But I can't because,
Why can't you?
I am me. I can't just change my...
You can change. Everyone can change.
But I shouldn't change what I like.
No, change. No, but change if it's affecting you that much.
Oh, but it's not.
Like it.
It's not.
If you don't like it, then you should.
It's more just a laziness, like I wish I was into rugby because then I could make loads of mates through rugby or whatever.
Is that what you think, or is that just
no? But I mean, that's just an example. Like if I wish I was more into football back in secondary school because that was the only sport at school that people played. Maybe I wouldn't have been. People wouldn't have been taking the piss as much when I just started out. If I was more into football at that point in my life, it's just stuff like that. And again, it's more just a laziness, cutting corners type of thing, rather than I actually have a desire to be like that. But sorry, I don't know what we were going back to. I was doing, almost like an essay style conversation. I was going to go back to where we started, but I don't know where we started. Oh,
it's interesting what we're talking about. If anything, it sounds like more like regrets than it does.
Oh yeah, we're talking about regrets. I have loads. Jesus, too many.
What's
Again,
the biggest one?
I don't know. Oh God.
Is it like
no.
not asking someone out, sort of thing, or?
I'll tell you. The thing is, I don't have one. I just have loads. Like
we all do, though, man. We don't have to have.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, I'm an overthinker, so it's going to take a long time to regret. Like, I've seen people talk about this before. Dan Howell, aka Dan is not on fire, a YouTuber, quite a few years ago, he made a video called The Cringe Attack, which is what I get, where you just kind of sitting there having a good time, and then you remember this stupid thing that you did when you were like 10, and you're like, oh, why the fuck did I do that? Why didn't I do that? Or whatever, like, I had one the other day where I was like, God, that could have been so bad. I didn't even do anything wrong, but I could have. Here's a thing that comes back in my mind all the time randomly, right? So, I was on the beach, Brighton Beach. I remember where it was as well. And I was throwing rocks into the sea, and I threw a rock, and it quite a big rock, very nearly hit a man on the head, might have killed him, potentially. So, manslaughter there for me. Like, literally, it landed, like, a centimetre behind his shin. Like, if I put an extra bit of force in, that would hit him on the head, potentially could have killed him. And I was like, 8. And it gets worse, because 10 minutes later, a guy was swimming in the sea. Their mates were, like, throwing each other into the sea. They threw one of them in, and he couldn't swim, and the current took him out, and he would have drowned. The guy who I nearly, at the very least, hospitalised, then saved his life. So I could have killed 2 people in that one day. Stuff like that. Oh my God. Of course, things like not asking people out fills me with regret as well. I'm not going to go into details right now. I'm not going to beat myself out,
No, don't. Don't.
But, yeah. There's obviously a lot of things that I haven't done, but at the same time, get a lot of angst about, what was it? At the same time, things that I have done. No, angst about doing it. So it's like it's almost like a lose-lose. If I do it, it could go wrong, but if I don't do it, I'll regret it. It's a terrible.
Damned if you do.
Yeah, exactly. So and again, if I'm an overthinker, like things like I used to be terrified of making phone calls. God, it just freaks me out. That's why I don't like Zooms, because of the delay. It's awkward. You say something, and then you wait for a reply, and you say another thing, and then they reply, and it's kind of like, I feel bad, I've just cut you off and all that. It's just like, it's just, I don't like it. It just,
You ever tried meditation?
Meditation, yeah, I can't do that during a Zoom call.
No, but like meditation it's not just like just sitting there and just thinking of your thoughts. It's more of controlling your thoughts. You don't control your thoughts. It's more of a reaction to them better.
Well, the only the thing I do, well, you mentioned this in other shows, but running, that's what I do.
Exercise
because you kind of clock out.
And it's also fucking key.
Yeah,
how much it changes. It helps you.
It's a good option in terms of like for mental health, because it's not like self-harm or anything, because you're not actually damaging yourself. I mean, if you still want that self-harm element, go for a hard run up a hill. There's your pain, but it's good pain because it's good for your health. You're getting fitter as a result of it. But in terms of overthinking and regret, I don't know if I'll ever conquer it, but I'll look at it from aspects from good aspects, because I have this weird thing where I kind of like think about conversations I might need to have in the future. So I've already got stuff loaded in that's ready to go. I could have, I don't know, maybe some point before I might have imagined this conversation like a few months ago. It's just a thing that I do. I like being prepared. That's the thing that throws me off with the trip to America, is I can't be prepared. I don't know what's going to happen. And that's probably what will be good for me. But like,
it'd be a good test. It'd be a good test, man, for you to face and accept that there's things you can't change in life, and you need to.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I always like, I always act prepared for all kinds of outcomes, and I like knowing what's gonna happen, and I guess that's why I'm such an overthinker, is trying to get as close as I can, because obviously with other people anything can happen. You don't know how someone might react to a question or a proposal or a comment or something like that. So if you prepare, in my mind, and it's probably, don't take this as advice, don't be an overthinker. It's awful. Try and find the middle ground between underthinking and overthinking. It's brilliant.
I think just being self-aware is a good thing, a good place to start.
Yeah, that at the very least. I think I used to be.
I think you're being too self-aware there.
I used to be terrified of being arrogant, and that's where I've ended up in the position I am now. Because I'd like to think I'm not arrogant. I like to think I have a feet on the ground. That's why I'm such a. People say that I am my own biggest critic. But that's a million miles better than being an egotistical knob. At least that's what I like to think. But I guess going back to regrets, it's a thing that piles on a lot. In my life, and I don't know. I guess it'll always just come back like, oh, bollocks, that happened, shit, and now I feel rubbish, and then I'll just give it 10 minutes and then it goes away. I used to be, in quite a bad state about that. Then I got counselling, and then now I'm fine. And now I like to think I don't need counselling again for the rest of my life, because what he did, I kind of asked him what I want. He said, what do I want from it? And I kind of said, give me ways to work through it, and now I've kind of worked through it.
What were these ways that he offered?
I can't remember. It just works. I don't know. He just like, I just want to not dwell on things too much. I think what he helped me do is just kind of move on. I think he told me that I needed to prioritize myself sometimes a bit more, and I think that's what I do. I know when if times are rough. At the very least, I know that okay. Spend a little bit more money on yourself, treat yourself a bit, I don't know. Buy a game, get a nice meal, go out somewhere, something like that. Don't just hunker down. Stuff like that will, work for me, because I still do this now, where, people saying, oh, well, you need to put yourself before other people sometimes. I'm like, no, I don't want to seem arrogant. But, people say, no, but you need to do it.
It's a balance, man.
That's why
it's all about balance, isn't it?
No, that's the thing about nightclubs, If you want to get a drink, there ain't no orderly queue. You have to, like, be a knob and fight your way to the front. that takes me ages, because I can't do it. I feel bad. I'm like, but they're waiting, But I just can't hack it. So I guess that's the burden of the what we said earlier, the life that I've chosen of trying to help people is obviously sometimes you neglect yourself in a way, and I guess that's what I'm trying to cross now. Trying to get over that bridge of where's that line, because I guess if I ever work in the civil service, so there's very much a case of you've got to look after yourself before you look after others. This thing I learnt with first aid, it's a brilliant question they ask you in the test. Who's the most important person in a first aid scenario? The answer is you, because it's not the patient. Because let's say that the patient is in a dangerous situation, like I don't know, they're in there's electrical wires everywhere. Don't just go running in. Turn the electricity off first, because if you die, then that casualty is screwed as well. So you got to look after yourself. And I need to take that into other situations. And I think I always try and put other people before myself, but sometimes that comes at my own detriment. But I don't know what to say to that, to be honest. But that's where I end up sometimes. I don't know what to say now.
It's crazy you didn't think we'd have much to say, did you? Or
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, I'm not very good at starting things. But once the ball's rolling, I'm off.
You're off.
I'm off. I'm flying. But yeah, I don't know what you think about those things. Sorry, I spoke quite a lot.
No, mate. Like I said, this is your episode. It's not the Thomas Swanson.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
here we go.
Episode.
This is the perfect example. I now feel bad.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, man.
Because I want to know more about what about Tom. You can interview yourself.
That'd be fucking. That'd be fucking dreadful. Just talking to myself.
Maybe your final episode, you should get someone to interview you.
I actually just talked to myself for an hour and then record myself talk to my hour again.
Well, apparently that's what Lenny's gonna do. Like,
what, talk to himself?
On the 24 Hours Live, he's gonna interview himself. I don't know how he told me that. Told me that on Monday. I'm like, all right, well, good luck with that. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but
Lenny's a creative guy.
Yeah, no, he'll pull it off. He will pull it off. I know he will.
He deserved that.
It's hard to imagine.
Award.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it was your award to give out, so
he deserved it, man.
I agree. Absolutely.
It would have been, like I said on Monday, it would have been a mistake if no one acknowledged the work him and James did. I don't get me wrong. People that are voted in were rightfully voted.
Yeah.
But them two are insane this year. No one knows. No one appreciates it, man. It's a shame.
I feel quite bad as well because all the X-Media Awards all went to Expression FM people.
It's not.
And I feel like there wasn't anyone who was only Expose or only XTV or only Raz.
Well, there was some XTV people.
Well, I mean, no, but the X-Media Awards.
Oh,
the only across the whole thing, they all went to Expression because I think we probably have the most people, or at least the most active voting people out of all the societies, I imagine, in X-Media.
Yeah,
it must be.
And at the netball as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
but Ollie deserved that. He deserved his award. Bloody hell!
That guy changed, man.
He cranked it out.
Between the first term, second and third term, man, that guy was a shooter.
Yeah,
he's brilliant.
I felt a bit hard done by as well. I was really hoping that somebody, because I won most committed, I want to see who was the next one. I wanted to see, but no, that one didn't get given out, and I felt a bit bad. I was like, I want to know. I want to hand it over to them. So I'm a bit like, dang, I missed out there. And I wanted to vote as well. But we didn't get to vote. But I'm kind of happy with that anyway, because sometimes it can be a popularity contest.
It's like the committee stuff, isn't it? The election stuff. Sometimes it can be a popularity contest.
Yeah. Well, in my case, running against nobody else. That's how you win. But yeah. I mean, that's just student politics, isn't it? I mean, I don't think the guild elections are like that.
You don't think?
Nah. Because I don't know. Well, the pirate would have won. You ask most people on campus, name a person who ran for president, they'll name the pirate.
Very good point.
And the pirate didn't win.
That's a very good point, actually, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he did come second, but, he's still, the guy who won by a long way. Because,
he's good for the role.
Because he deserved it, yeah. I think maybe there was a bit of when I say popularity contest, I'm thinking back to school counsellors. Because I ran for school counsellor back at primary school once, and it was the first and only time that it came up. And I'm in my speech, I think I said that, like, you know, I said a bit about myself. I said, like, you know, I'm, you know, helpful. I'll stand up for you, blah, 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 and all that. And I lost the kind of person who was like, I'm going to ban homework. I'm going to, like, make it, they give out Coca-Cola. You're going to hot chocolate day. You're going to have all this. And, like, I was like, you're not going to be able to do that. You know, like, and I lost to them because they did that. And I was like, well, bruh, you know. So that's why I tapped out of that at that point. But yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about now.
You asked me a question a minute ago and I completely forgot.
Oh, I asked about... What did I ask about? Oh my god.
Overthinking or something.
Oh no, I just mean just what your thoughts were, just in general.
Just
what we talk about. What we just discussed.
I think overthinking is a thing that I would say most of us have, to be honest with you.
Well,
I think it's about controlling it, and
I'd say most smart people have
I think it depends on your habits as well. I think habits definitely have influenced it. I mean, I was very, very shy and anxious guy growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I'll say 21 when I stopped drinking. Yeah, 21 in that year out before I came to uni when I started changing my habits, my perspective on life. You know, I quit video games because that made my life quite bad. Social media, holy shit, yes, that was a big one. I deleted Instagram for a whole year. And you know,
it's hard to go on there sometimes. Oh my god.
I deleted all my socials for like a year and it's like a couple of years. I have Instagram now, but I don't use it. I have it only to post what I do. And I literally, it's called a post and ghost account. So basically I post and don't go on until I post again. So basically people message me. People say they keep messaging me on it. And then I'm not replying, but I don't go on it.
Yeah.
That's
why I don't like it.
Scrolling it. Like one of the best things about finishing with XTV is I actually delete Instagram off my phone.
Oh, bro.
And log out of the account.
I don't have the guts to do it because I'm scared that loads of people are going to be like, I'll be messaging you. And I'm like, why message on there? It's not a messaging app.
WhatsApp, man. Use WhatsApp.
I know exactly, but they're like, oh, I don't have that. It's old people. And I'm like, yeah, but it's also good. And like,
businesses use that. That's
exactly.
most likely what you use when you go into a job.
And the main thing is you can send images to people who aren't on the same phone provider as you. Because if you're using just basic Messenger, you can't send photos from Apple to Android and stuff. So, you know, it's way easier. This episode has been sponsored by Meta. No,
but back to what I was saying about Instagram and stuff. You know, it's really when you take a break and look at it from the outside of how it affects your affects your mental, how it affects your values, how it affects your way of thinking. You know, you're more focused on what everyone else thinks as opposed to what you're really thinking inside. You know,
it's a stressful thing, especially with the whole. You know, well, look at all the fun stuff they're doing, and I'm just sitting here. You know, you feel a bit rubbish.
Bunch of bullshit.
It's just it's not appealing.
And I've seen an extreme case, and I'm not going to say who, of course, but someone that we found out was using social media a shit ton throughout their day. You know, actually had like a mental breakdown and completely left Exeter.
Oh, sorry about that.
And like it goes to show when you're basically just stuck glued to your fucking phone all the time. Scrolling. You're not going out. You're not seeing people. You know, you become more anxious because you're just stuck in your comfort zone. You're not going out and, like I said, to talk to people. And it's so important. It's so important. It's actually quite a scary thing, really. You know, seeing kids nowadays that when they grow up, they're literally just stuck with a fucking iPad into their face.
Yeah.
And that's just going to be that for pretty much all their childhood. Well, not all of it. I'd hope not. You know, I don't know if I don't speak for you, but my childhood was playing football, playing Kirby, you know, going to my mates. And we would play Xbox and stuff, but, you know, we'd also go out and speak to people. We have barbecues and stuff. And I love that sort of thing.
I think that was the first time I, like, witnessed an iPad was when I was, like, age 7 or 8. Something like that. And I'm glad of that because, you know, it was at that age where it was heavily restricted anyway. Like, nowadays, people, like, buy primary school kids their own smartphone. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? Like, you know, and like they're now watching YouTubes and thing, and I'm like, just watch CBeebies, bro. Like, my nephew's watching YouTube at age where he should have been watching CBeebies and CBBC, and I'm like, what's wrong with bloody CBBC? Like, that bangs, you know. You don't need to watch Mr. Beast. That's too complex.
God,
like, you know, like watching people make financial decisions about their future and all that.
Do you know, I respect Mr. Beast for what he does, but I think his sort of content.
Oh yeah, he's a filmmaker as well. Yeah. It seems more factory made than...
his content seems sort of like what the YouTube algorithm is going to be for kids nowadays. It's just really big titles, really
Yeah.
artsy
The thing I hate,
thumbnails.
the thumbnails. They're ridiculous. It's like
Cringe, so
they're just
cringe.
like they edit their faces and put weird colours on them and stuff, and it's just like, what the hell is that? I just find it like, it was these weird faces and things. I don't know how you could take yourself seriously. You know, you be more of an art house cinema kind of guy, personally. You know, and that's what I'm for. You got to dig deep to find those channels, though.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a bad thing. Yeah, I have regrets. I know you
Oh.
probably don't want them in your mind, but
I try and use them as lessons, so I don't do it again.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's always a painful reminder of things like that. That's why, you know, I'll probably never get a tattoo or anything like that, because I'll probably regret it. So, you know.
yeah, don't get a partner's name tattooed on you.
Oh,
I've
never.
heard- I've seen people that have done that, and I'm thinking, man,
Don't get like England Euro 2024 champions. People did that for the last one.
oh, that's just ridiculous.
For the-
Stupid.
For 2021. Geez, that was a tough time. Didn't watch the game. Good call. Good call from me. Not watching the Euros final last time.
How come you just?
I just had a feeling we weren't going to win. I said we don't deserve it. Like, in terms of as fans, we don't deserve it. People shoving flares up their ass, you know, like, and people trying to rush the stadium. If we win, then
It's an injustice.
the players deserve to win. But as a fan base, we were too big a knob. You know, like when we won in '66, look at the fan base then. They deserved it as fans. You know, they were, you know, came out of the Second World War and all that, you know, and now they, you know, they deserve the win. But you know, if you got cocky fans that are gonna be knobs about winning, then nah, we don't deserve it. And then we didn't. You know, I feel bad for the players, but you know, if you're knob fans, then you're gonna make everyone upset by winning. Why do you think literally everyone, all the other countries in Europe, would rather the other team wins for us? That's not because of our players. That's because of the fans. And it's not even. It's most fans are nice. You know, like when you watch the reactions, you know.
Some of them just spoil it for others.
Yeah, people forget football. English football got banned. Like the English teams weren't allowed to play in like the Champions League. They weren't allowed to play in the European Championships for like 20 years because of how bad English fans were. It was it's quite shocking. Nasty chance as well. Sorry, yeah, this is great. I like how we've gone sidetrack. I would quite see like a flow chart of like topics and see where they've gone. I don't know what it's been like with your other shows. Have you ever had like someone staying on one topic for like 2 hours?
No, not really. No, I've had a lot of good conversations. You know, we sort of talked about regrets and stuff, and you know, what's up?
I might need to go soon. I don't want to go. I would happily stay here forever, but I have a commitment in an hour.
You do indeed. Do you want me to wrap up or?
We can start wrapping up. I don't want to though. Believe me, I'll happily do a sequel to this. But
Well, how long are you here for? In Exeter.
a week, I guess now. Oh God, I thought it was longer. Yeah, about a week.
Only a week. You're not
Yeah,
coming back
and
after.
then I'll be here for like 2 or 3 days. After that, in like the 28th of June is when I get
Okay,
back.
that's good. Because
It'll be literally like a few days.
is that just to pack up?
Yeah. But you know, I'll still be doing stuff. There'll be like a day or two where I won't be doing anything. So.
Oh no, I'm just booked up next week. I'm booked up between now and next week, man.
This is now people are just listening to our plans.
Well, we've got Friday.
Yeah, there's Friday and maybe the weekend and all that. But yeah,
Man, thank you so much for coming on, man.
thanks for having me on. It's good to vent, especially on public channels. It'll be interesting to see if someone randomly comes up to me over the next few weeks and says, "Oh, I heard what you said about this."
Well, the one person that probably listens to it, whoever that is, you know, maybe you might meet them. I don't know.
Fingers crossed. Have a chat with me about what I said. Slag off anything that I said. I probably agree with you as well in hindsight. If you made it this far as well. I don't know when you'd listen to this, like.
I'll probably release it in about an hour or something.
But like when you're on a train or something, or like when you're like.
Oh, when people actually
Yeah,
listen to these
like
episodes.
when they like go to bed or working out. I don't know.
I know Neve, she was one of the guests. She listens to it and she was cooking and stuff.
Shout out Neve, if you're listening.
I think she's actually the one that only listens. I think she's probably the only active listener. Thank you, Neve.
What are you cooking, Neve, at the moment? Let me know. Let us know. It's probably very nice.
Oh God, man.
But yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a really, really nice experience. The closest thing I'll ever get in my life to going on a chat show, I can imagine.
You've not been invited before?
No, not on like a show like this. Like, you know, I'm not gonna go be on like, you know, the Tonight Show, am I? Like, you know. So this will be the closest thing I'll have to it. So Yeah, it's a brilliant experience. Whoa.
There's that alarm.
That's it.
That's it, man. Well, Ben, thank you, man, for coming on.
Thank you very much, Tom. I'm privileged to be part of your guests of honor on T.W.T. And thank you anyone who bothered to listen. And if you're using the picture that I think you're using, that was just because people tell me that's a good picture.
It's a lovely picture, mate. I love it.
Is it the black and white one?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
a sick picture.
Yeah, it's that wasn't my first choice. Just letting you know. I'm not
my first choice.
Yeah. It's I'm not that pretentious, I promise. Well, yeah, hopefully the matter of what I've been saying covers it.
It's been good, mate. It's been
Yeah.
really good.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, man.